Hey, Rurikhan.
Hey, what's up, Echo?
Good on you, fam. Good on you.
Good and me. What? I'm confused. What does that mean?
Good on you. How are you doing?
Oh, good and you. God damn, your
Yeah.
accent sometimes throws me off, dude. I'm doing good. I'm extremely tired, and I'm in the process of trying to get like a new PC.
Oh,
Uh,
shit.
yeah, because I want
What
to have.
PC are you getting?
I mean, it's like, look, I wanted to get something from Nvidia, but like those guys are fucking scammers, and I'm done
Yeah.
with their nonsense. Cause like, bro, 4090 is like
Super
in
expensive. Like,
in
fuck.
Portugal, it's like $2,500, right? Which is like, bro,
That's a lot of money,
listen,
man.
I can buy two 7900 XTSs for that price and still have some money left over. Okay. So
Yep.
it's just not going to happen. So I went Team Red again, but it's mostly so that I have a PC at my house because
All right.
I don't have a PC in my house. I just have this rig that I have on
Yeah.
the warehouse. So yeah.
See, the only reason I didn't go Team Red and why I wouldn't go Team Red, even though my CPU is Team Red, is their encoder is like apparently super dog shit.
It
So
wasn't
for
great
streaming, it's
last
pretty
time.
bad.
It wasn't great last time, but I believe they've made some improvements. So,
Yeah,
we'll see.
I watched the.
It's
Yeah,
workable though. Like for Twitch,
Yeah, of
it's
course.
perfectly fine for Twitch. My previous rig on Twitch, no problem whatsoever. The problem
Yeah.
was when I was going to YouTube and I wanted to actually stream
Higher quality.
higher bit rates and all that stuff. That was problematic. But I think they've really improved it. So,
Yeah, I watched the video yesterday of because AV1 is becoming like a huge thing now.
Yep.
And it showed it. It's still in like high movement games. The encoder is still pretty shit for Team Raid, but it's a software issue, so it's not like AMD doesn't have the hardware. It is just the software. For some reason, AMD do not understand how to fucking nail the software on their encoder.
I don't know if they don't understand how to nail it because I was actually watching some videos and apparently the 7900 XTX actually has like 2 media units, which actually allows it to do a little bit better multitasking. Like some of the people that were testing the GPU, they were saying that they could actually easier render and do other stuff with that GPU than with like a 4090. And I was like, whoa, what? But like, this is very specific things in terms of like video editing and rendering simultaneously and doing all of that stuff. It's stuff that for most users doesn't really mean anything. So
yeah, I mean, literally no one in chat gives a fuck about us talking about the encoder of the GPU.
yeah, exactly.
It's just you and me that's going, shit. Like, the encoder needs to be good. Chat's just going, dude, what's the frame rates? Like, what frames do I get?
That is
But yeah, as a gamer, I would probably go Team Raid every single time because I don't give a shit about the RTX. I know it's the big thing, but I'll be honest with you.
Go ahead.
I don't care about it, right? As far as I'm concerned, it looks the same, or at least close enough that I don't give a fuck turning on DLSS or turning on ray tracing.
Here's the thing about ray tracing, and this is almost the unspoken truth that a lot of people don't really want to admit. But fundamentally, there is never once a situation, and you can quote me on that, there hasn't been, and most likely there will never be a situation where the performance sacrifice that you are making for ray tracing is worth the improvement in visual quality. Okay? Unless you're like someone who's like, let's say this, like someone who's really into film or something, and you just think, oh my God, look at this shot with the Todd rays bouncing off of the walls, and they bounce again into this mirror, and then it creates some more. That is like, bro, I'm running through that level so fast I can't see shit. Any of those things you just mentioned mean nothing to me. Like, how many frames does it get? That's what I care about.
Yeah, I would say, so depends, obviously, right? Because if you go just native RTX, right? Just native ray tracing, yeah, that's a nightmare, right? Because in Cyberpunk, for example, with medium ray tracing, no DLSS on, frame rates of 40, it's unplayable. You can't fucking play like that. Yeah, it looks beautiful.
I mean, it's unplayable for your GPU, though.
Yeah, well, it's
what,
not.
What do you have?
I have a 3080, right?
Okay. That's a very
that's
good
now,
GPU.
Remember, that's ray tracing medium, but with no DLSS. But then, in order to make the game playable, you have to turn on DLSS. The second you turn on DLSS,
the game starts
you're already downgrading the quality, right? So you're no longer getting the beautiful ray tracing. You're already getting a downgraded one, just so you can fucking play. At that point, just turn it to medium graphics and play the fucking game, right? No DLSS required, over 100 frames. It looks good. Who cares?
The thing about DLSS is, like, it's fantastic technology, but, you know, it suffers from because, like, the only time I've ever used DLSS was actually in Monster Hunter Rise, and they had really good implementation because I was running and recording locally on the same machine, like I don't know, at this point, 4-year-old computer, give or take. No, actually probably 5 years old. So I'm recording and playing on that computer at 1440p and getting pretty consistent 60 FPS. Okay? And now I want you to tell me, what GPU was I doing that on?
You're saying 5-year-old.
About a 5-year-old computer, but it's like the GPU was I don't think the GPU is 5 years old because I did replace the GPU, but everything else on that computer is 5 years old.
Okay, so if the GPU, that's okay. So the GPU,
it's using. Keep in mind, it's using DLSS, but at the same time, it is recording locally at 1440p, 60 FPS.
Okay, then. So you kind of did give away that it has to be Team Raid because you mentioned you're using Team Raid. Is it Team Green?
No. That GPU is Team Green.
Okay, then.
Because I'm giving you an example of good DLSS.
Okay, but then it has to be either the 2080 borderline or 3070 and up. I can't imagine that it's
the 2060.
Dude, fuck that. Like, seriously.
The 26. Like, listen, if you go to my channel, the series that is called, I think I called it The First Hunts, which is me playing the expansion of Monster Hunter Rise. I was playing that on a 2060 at 1440p with almost everything cranked up and using DLSS and recording it locally and no issues. See, that's where DLSS is really fucking impressive. But as someone that had also played it without DLSS, I was like, yeah, you know, because one of the things is some of the NPCs that give you quests, they're these cats and they have like the fur stuff. All of that fur stuff is gone with DLSS. There's no fur on these cats, okay? They're flat textures.
I mean, DLSS is getting better, right? We have 3.0 now with the 40 series, but again, you get back to, am I willing to pay? Because in South Africa even, it's almost $2,000 for a 4090. Am I willing to pay $40 or $2,000 for DLSS 3.0?
No, it's not worth it. Not to mention that it's like, the other thing that bothers me, right, with the 40 series is like, why is DLSS such a major feature? If you're paying over $1,000 for a fucking GPU, the last thing you should be concerned is DLSS technology, all right? I want the fucking thing to render it natively, guy. What the fuck do you mean DLSS?
Dude, I can almost guarantee you native resolution is, in 5 years, it's going to be dead. NVIDIA has already shown their hand because all of their initial claims about what the 4090 can do, they didn't even say that it was with DLSS on. So they said 50% faster, but they didn't say 50% faster with DLSS on. It is the thing, right? It's what it's going to be. And AMD needs to seriously catch up with their DLSS. They call it
the
something
FSR.
else, though.
FSR
the
was
FSR.
I tested that in a game recently and it was terrible. I was not happy. I was like, every time I turned FSR on, I was like, wow, the game just looks like ass, and the performance hasn't really improved that much. I don't know if it's been improved or not, but like, damn, when I tried using FSR, I was like, bro, I don't want FSR. This doesn't look good at all.
Yeah, FSR is shit. But all right, to bring it back, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I just wanted to bring that up because I know that you're going to be very proud of me, like basically getting a new PC and playing more on PC. You know, I know that you're going to be very proud with your PC Master Race bullshit.
But bro, it's because you're making good choices in life.
I know.
And I like when people make good choices in life. Like if you bought out a console, that would be an example of a bad choice in life. Like, you should buy more PC, less console, fuck console. Everyone knows the truth, right? So no, I am very proud of you. I'm always proud when someone picks up a PC, because that's where the shit. Like, let's be real. For all of consoles bullshit and all the bluster from the console peasants, let's be real about one thing. If you want quality, we're talking quality, we're talking performance, we're talking everything. There isn't a console on the market that comes even close to a mid-range PC.
No, I disagree. I mean, look, you don't really play consoles, whereas I, on the other hand, play consoles and have a high-end PC. I disagree. If you were to say there's no console that comes close to a high-end PC, then I would agree. But mid-range PC, nah, dude. Listen, current generation.
Mid-range?
I mean, mid-range, we're talking like, let's see, 2080, 3070. I think those are kind of like somewhat comparable, right? 2080, 3070, I would imagine.
I'd say 3070, 4070, like the 70 series, not the 60, right? 60 I would consider to be low end.
Yeah, 60 is low end. So I'm thinking, I'm thinking like around somewhere between the 70 series and the 80 series is where I would say that consoles land. The thing is, it's a lot easier for a developer to optimize for a console, which is one of the reasons why you saw so many PC games come out this year and they actually played a little bit better on consoles. Even though I will point out that a lot of people have also spouted some serious bullshit in the case of like Jedi Survivor, when they were saying like, oh my God, it runs perfectly fine on my PS5. And I was like, my fucking ass, my guy. Okay, I played it on the PS5 and I got like some footage of my character running in the low teens when it comes to frame rate. Okay, so don't tell me that the game was running fine on consoles.
Look, I agree with you. Console out of the box, or out of the gate rather, console is almost always going to be better first week or two of a game's life cycle. Like, that's going to happen. But the reason that's going to happen, and I actually watched a 4-hour live stream where the guy explained in detail what makes games so difficult to optimize on PC. And dude, people don't think about this stuff.
No, listen, did you need 4 hours for that? It's very simple. It's the range of hardware. There, done. But I've given you the 4 hours.
No. But what's interesting is he shows why the range of hardware becomes such a big problem in optimization. Like, just take RAM. You have 2 RAM sticks, right? And it's both 8 gigs. It's the exact same company, but they have different speeds. Different measurings, right? So it's like a C16 or and a C18.
And then you also have like the changes in terms of like it could be right now it would be like 7600 megahertz RAM, 6500, something like that. Yeah.
But just the timing issue, right? So just 2 RAM sticks with different timings, you have to optimize for that. Like you have to in the code be like, all right, the game needs to know that this is the timings on your RAM. Because if the timings are wrong, the game is going to either eat too much RAM, it's going to do some kind of fucking RAM cycling or RAM recycling, and that's going to cause blue screens and black screens and crashes and shit. Like, you go through just RAM issues and you realize, okay, if you're trying to optimize the game for PC,
then you still have to think about, like, processor instructions, which are going to be different from Intel to AMD. Then you also have to think about what engine they're using and how that engine renders on AMD or Nvidia, yeah, it's just like, forget about it. It's insane.
Yeah, so I think PC players have to kind of accept the fact that, yes, in the end, our game will run smoother and be better, but that's never going to be the case at launch, right?
I mean,
Just never.
depends on the developers. Some developers can do some really good work with PC. It's just, just a matter of finding them. That's it.
True.
But it's like, I don't want to just talk about computer and shit. Like I said, I just wanted you to be proud of me. Okay, Ak, are you proud of me?
I am proud of you. Hearts in chat, ladies and gentlemen, for Rurikhan buying himself, being a bit of a consumer, buying himself a second PC, living the high life.
Yeah, dude.
2 PCs. It's like those people that have multiple houses.
Nowadays, yeah, dude. It's like content creators are buying fucking Lamborghinis and shit, and I'm over here scrounging my ass off and being like, okay, I'm gonna take a shot.
Yep.
I'm gonna buy a new PC. You got those TikTok influencers driving around in their Lamborghinis and just creating drama and bullshit content. But it's like, okay, whatever.
Dude, I can't think of a bigger fucking waste of time and money.
Yeah. Then
Even if I had the money for a Lamborghini, I would not buy a Lamborghini. Like, I don't.
I think I'd rather have a poster of a Lamborghini, like the Lamborghini Countach, one of my favorite looking cars in the world. Just like, I'll take a poster, okay? Looks nice on the living room.
I don't even know what the fuck that is.
The Countach, it's just a really old model. Yeah. It's a really cool looking one. It's got, and you know how the more modern cars, they have like very curvy lines?
Yeah.
The Countach is the opposite of that. It's just like sharp lines all over that bitch. Looks fantastic.
All right. I mean, I don't, like, a car just needs 4 wheels and needs to drive places. Like, that's basically the extent of my knowledge of cars. I don't care about cars at all outside of can it drive. Then we're good.
That's fair.
Yeah, I would rather take that money and just buy property, or even better, I wouldn't even buy property because that would introduce a bunch of new work that I have to do. I would just put the money in the fucking bank and be done with it. But yeah, you just wait there. I'll get to you one day. I'm just gonna chill here. Like, fuck that, man. But all right, let's talk Season of Discovery, because I can see chat starting to have their own fucking discussions here, right? Wait, before we get into that, you've recently started playing Guild Wars 2, and I saw on Twitter.
I'm playing it right now. If you open up my stream, you'll see me playing it. It's just what I'm doing is kind of like, I'm doing something that's just called map completion. So you just run around, you do events and shit, and it's just completion stuff, but it's something that I can do easily while we're chatting, that I don't need to pay attention to it at all.
That's good, but okay, so I saw you on Twitter, or X, retweeting Just Drive Hayes.
Yeah.
About, because Just Drive Hayes had this tweet, chat, where he basically said Guild Wars 2 is probably the best value for money MMO out there. The amount of stuff you get for the money that you pay to buy the game is nuts.
I will go one step. I will go one step above and say, let's say right now, what would you say are the 4 top MMOs?
I would say WoW, Final Fantasy, Guild Wars 2, and ESO.
Exactly. That's the exact same list that I have. I would argue, with the experience that I've been having over the last couple of days, which is not much. Like, let me actually check the age of this character. I can tell you how many hours I played. So, in this... wow, oh, shit.
How many hours have you played?
Okay, let's take 7 hours away and call that idle, because, you're streaming, you leave the game on, whatever, you go to have lunch. Let's take 7 hours away. Can we agree on that? 7 hours of idle time? So that would make it 70 hours that I've played of this character. Okay? And here's the interesting thing, right? I've played 70 hours, and the content that I've done so far is the free-to-play content. So I own all the expansions before the last one that just released. So there's the base Guild Wars, then there's Heart of Thorns. I think it's called Heart of Thorns. Someone will correct me if that's not the right. Then there's Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, End of Dragons, and now they came up with another one which is called, it's called SOTO, the abbreviation, Secrets of the Obscure, I think. But basically
Okay.
at one point, like I think it was last year, when they released Age of Dragons, they had this deal going on, which was like for $50, you get all the expansions that came out up until this point, including the latest one. I was like, well, I'm just
Wow.
going to buy that. So I bought that, and then I played it for a while, and then I stopped playing. And so
Okay.
recently I jumped back into it because this year was full of awesome games, which meant I had to stream a lot, I had to play a lot. And when I finally
Uh-huh.
finished kind of like the last one, I went back to Nostalgia Brain. My brain was like, we need to play some MMOs, dude. And I was like, okay, well, Season of Discovery is about to come out. I want to
Yep.
check that out. But,
Yep.
there's still a time frame in between now and then. And then I was
Yeah.
like, maybe I'll sub to 14 and play a little bit, but there would be like, oh, I'll be subbing for a full month and then playing like maybe 10 days or something like that. That doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. Seems like a waste of money, right? So instead, I have Guild Wars. That's free. I can just jump in and play it. And so that's what I did. I just started jumping in, made a new character to kind of like relearn the systems and all that. And I just
Yeah.
restarted playing the game. And so, in my opinion, from what I've played so far, I would go as far as to saying that Guild Wars 2 is the best value that you can get for your money when it comes to all of the top 4 MMOs that we just talked about.
So I have a question for you.
Shoot.
Why is it that if Guild Wars 2 really is that value for money, and a lot of people love that game. Now, keep in mind, I bought Guild Wars 2 way back in the day when it just came out.
Yeah.
I still, somewhere in this country of mine, there is a white box with a red dragon thing on it that says Guild Wars 2 physical copy. I lost it in the move to Cape Town. I don't know where the fuck it is now, but
But you have the
it's
account
somewhere.
still.
I don't know. Maybe I'll have to fucking check. But I had it, right? I used to have it at least, and I didn't like it. First month, first week I played it, I immediately went, nah, fuck this. This game's shit, and I went back to WoW. Why?
Can I ask you why you didn't
Yeah.
like it? Like, what was it? What was it about it that you
So
didn't like?
at launch, the game was very much, if I remember correctly. Now, granted, at this point, I was also very much addicted to WoW, right? So
Yeah.
I was testing this out because everyone was saying it's such a good game, and then I got into it, and I realized, this is so much not like WoW, and I just want to play WoW, you know. But at the time, it was sort of like there were very little quests. It was mainly just these events all over the map that you would run and go do. I remember one of them being on this farm thing, and you would have to help other players tend the farm.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
like, it's funny you say that because that's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, all right, so that shit, right, that I had to do. And I just went, wait, I don't know what the fuck's going on here. I don't want to play this. Screw this game. And so I went back to WoW.
Yeah.
But why is it that even though everyone says this is the best value for money game, and people clearly seem to love it, why is it not at least conversely? So in conversation, why isn't it competing with WoW and Final Fantasy when it comes to people actually playing it? Why isn't it competing, at least in conversation?
See,
Is there what's
that's-
missing in that game?
That's the thing. I feel like most people that are playing Guild Wars 2, they're just playing it. They're not really concerned about creating content or anything like that. They're just playing. Now, in my case, I haven't made a video on it yet because I want to get to some of the later stuff in the game so that I can do like a proper comparison with 14, World of Warcraft, and all of that stuff. But I think that what ends up happening is people just play it. And because the game doesn't have any FOMO at all, people will just stop playing it and play the other ones, and then when the other ones have a lull, they'll come back and play this one. But there's not a whole lot to talk about. It's just a good game that they're enjoying. And I feel like that ends up getting into a cycle where there's just not that much interest in talking about it. But in terms of value, it's just the best bang for your buck. Like I said, I just played 70 hours. It was fun, but it's still like old content. It's dated content. I don't think it's the best content you can get in an MMO at this point. But
yeah.
It was still 70 hours where I had fun, and there's still plenty of more hours of content to go. Like, last night I did some of the first DLC that they released for the game, which is kind of like patch content. And that was already like a big improvement on the base game content. Now I was actually surprised. I was like, oh, there's just like this massive dungeon that I did, which took, I don't know, probably 30 to 40 minutes. And I was like, wow, this dungeon is freaking huge. And I was just going through this dungeon and doing stuff and activities and whatnot. And it's just fun. It's just been really fun. But like I said, the thing about it is because it doesn't have FOMO, which we should all see as a good thing, there's not a lot of people talking about it, right? There's usually whenever there's a new event in World of Warcraft, people will jump in and they'll go like, oh, we got to make a guide for this. Oh, here's how to defeat this raid. Here's how to defeat this boss. Here's how to get this item. Why? Because it's timed. And eventually it goes away. And if you don't get it fast, you're not going to get it. And Guild Wars 2 doesn't have as much of that.
Someone else said, Epic Thulu in chat also said here that the lack of a subscription means lack of a forced dedication to the game. You're not constantly justifying a monthly purchase, which, based on what you just said there, it absolutely sounds like it, right? It does sound like almost... So I like to joke that WoW is my quote-unquote filler game. It's the game that I play when I have like literally nothing else to play. I'll go and hang out in WoW, which actually happens far more often than you would think, where I just have nothing to play. But I guess Guild Wars 2, for a lot of people, falls exactly in that category, where because it's free, once you've bought it, you don't have to pay anything. But then it should technically be competing with Elder Scrolls Online.
In my opinion, I think it does. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, so I've played Elder Scrolls, right? And the thing about Elder Scrolls, and this is something that I don't like, is like they will sell you full-on quest lines, which you have access to if you pay the sub. So technically speaking, ESO also has a sub. It's just you can have a much worse experience and play without that sub. Because, like, I tried playing without the sub, and one of the first things that I realized is, okay, I can't do crafting. Like, it's pretty much almost impossible for you to do crafting without the sub, because you have no inventory space to put crafting materials on. But if you sub, they give you the the bag of infinite storage, or whatever the hell it is, and you can store every crafting material in the world on there. So there's that, and then they sell you straight up full-on quest lines.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that.
Which is the thing that I don't like. I don't like them piecemealing quest lines. Even in Guild Wars 2, they also sell you this living world content, which is the patch content. And that bothers me, but it's not as bad, I think, as it is in ESO. Because in ESO, you'll go in there and it's like, oh, here's the Dark Brotherhood quest line. Here's the Vampire quest line. Here's the Werewolf quest line. Here's the quest line to this thing and that thing. And all of these things that are familiar to Elder Scrolls fans. And in here, it's like, okay, there's, I think, 5 seasons of Living World. They give you the first one for free, and then you're expected to buy the other ones.
You see, the problem I have is because I was watching this video. When was this? Let's say a week ago. I was watching this video about why is League of Legends not dead yet. I think that was literally the title. Why isn't it dead yet? And at the time when the guys from Riot tried to find investors, like when they tried to convince like publishers to help them make this game, they were trying to explain to the publishers that this was going to be a free-to-play video game, right? It's going to be completely free and people can just play it. And all publishers were like, but how are you going to make money? Like, that's not going to work. And they were like, well, we'll sell skins and stuff. And they're like, no. How would you make money out? No. You need a box price. And eventually they got an investor that listened to their business model, and he was like, yeah, all right, let's try this out at least. Let's see if this can actually work. And I feel like while MOBAs these days, if you were to announce a brand new MOBA and you said, and it's going to have a price of $60, people would laugh at you, right? No one can release a MOBA in 2023 with a fucking box price. What are you talking about? I don't pay for MOBAs. It has to be free. But then MMOs feel like this weird genre that it has not figured out yet how to actually be free to play.
I think that, listen, in the case of Blizzard, I don't think that they didn't figure it out. It's that they saw that they can get away with it. They saw that, we can have every single thing that free-to-play games do, and people will just take it, and they'll still buy expansions. So why should they change? They've gotten the best of both models. They sell the expansions, they sell you a sub fee, and then they still have a free-to-play store. Which, this is one of the things that I find like one of the most disgusting things ever. And I was like, all right.
You are not alone, sir. You are not fucking alone. I 100% agree with you. Like, if we're talking Blizzard stuff, I think World of Warcraft is probably, at this point, one of the most egregious offenders of it has a free-to-play business model, but then with a sub, in order to access the free-to-play business model, you have to pay a monthly sub. And it's just like, dude, that is the equivalent of a MOBA coming out and saying, we're going to have a cash shop and we're going to sell you all of the champs and cosmetics and everything, but we're also going to come out with a $60 price tag. And players just go, oh yeah, that sounds
good.
Fair.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
But players wouldn't, right? Heroes of Newerth tried it and they died. Players didn't want to pay $60 for the fucking game when they could play League of Legends for free. Dota went free as well from the beginning, and people immediately realized, these are good games, but they have to be free. The problem is that if you look at MMOs, so you look at Guild Wars 2, you look at ESO, they're both, let's call them free to play, because to some extent they are.
Yeah.
But it's like, neither of these games have yet to figure out exactly what a good non-exploitative free-to-play model looks like. Like, for example, selling you the Living World stuff. That is exploitation. That is an exploitative model, because you are locking things that should technically be part of the game. You're kind of locking it behind a paywall, right? And this will vastly impact everyone's experience very, very differently, right? So the way I look at exploitation is, if you have two players, one player that will not pay anything and another player that's willing to swipe their credit card as much as possible, what is their experience like going through the game? And in both ESO and Guild Wars, the experiences will be vastly different, right? Depending on, are you willing to swipe a lot or are you willing to not swipe at all?
I don't think in Guild Wars is going to be that different. You're just not going to have the Living World content, but I don't think that's that big of a deal. Like, for me it is, because I want to do the whole story, but not a lot of people play these games for the story to begin with. I mean, you're one of the exceptions, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would only play it for the story. I wouldn't play it for any other reason. But remember, that still changes the experience, right? If player A and player B gets to the end of the game and we ask them, so what was it like for you? Player A and player B will have very different recounts of what their time in Guild Wars was like. Now, compare that to League of Legends. If you took a player in League of Legends that isn't willing to spend a dime on League of Legends, and you took a player that is willing to swipe as often as possible, and they both played the game for a year, I would argue their experience in League of Legends will be exactly the same. They would have had the exact same experience, regardless, because they're playing the exact same game. They have access to the champions. The one player is just playing and buying the champions with champion points. The other player is just playing it for the credit card. But considering the fact that in League of Legends, most people have like one champion that they play anyway, most people don't buy all of the champions in the game. So it's going to be very similar experiences. And I feel like MMOs have not figured that out yet. Like, they haven't figured out yet how to do a good free-to-play model where both players at the end will have the same experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I don't know what that answer is, because, maybe don't be so fucking greedy is the answer. Like, have transfer. But you see, this is the problem. In League of Legends, for example, or in all MOBAs, really, there is no such thing as customization for free, right? Like, any customization that you want to do is always going to be priced. Now, the only way MMOs could really pull that off, and I don't know how players would feel about this, is imagine if you played Guild Wars 2. Everything in Guild Wars 2 is 100% free. Living Worlds, everything is free. But if you want to make your character look a certain way, so you want the armors to have a specific look, you want to be able to transmog, you have to buy those transmogs. So they don't exist in the game.
You have transmogs in the game though that you can get for free.
I know.
And you have a dye system where you unlock the dyes, and recoloring your stuff is also free.
But I'm arguing, if you wanted to make an MMO,
so you're arguing for
the same as a MOBA.
We're like, okay, so let's give them the content for free and charge them more on the cosmetic side.
Yes, so cosmetics are completely locked unless you pay for it.
See, I would actually prefer the way that they do it, because I prefer having a little bit of customization and then just buying the living world.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that's what they should do. I'm sort of philosophically going, if we wanted a world where MMOs match MOBAs 1v1 in terms of player experience, that's sort of the only way I can see it happen. Right? But that's also why I said I don't think players would buy into that. I think a lot of players would be like, what the fuck? So I have to buy a shoulder transmog off the shop if I want my shoulders to look like anything other than standard template. That's bullshit, right? Players would immediately be like, no, fuck that. I don't want this, because, it's an RPG. Players do want to have some control over what they look like. So maybe this is just the best we can do, right? Maybe this is sort of like the best they can do.
Which is why I said that, in my opinion, Guild Wars 2 has by far the best value.
I can get that. How much, by the way, is the Living World stuff? Like, if you wanted to buy the Living World stuff, how much would that cost you?
I don't actually know what the exact cost is, because I had one of the seasons, because they give every now and then they'll do like a thing. Because here's the thing. If you were around when the Living World was happening, you would get it for free. So like, if you're just playing the game, you don't have to pay for Living World. You just get it for free when it comes out. It comes out, you get it, it's attached to your account, all of your characters get it, no fuss, no muss, it's done. If, however, you take a big-ass break, like I did, right? Because I played the game when it came out, I leveled up all the way to max level when it came out, and then I took a break from it, didn't play it for like, 5-6 years. And now I came back to it, then played it for like, 2 weeks, and then I stopped again for like 2 years, and now I've came back to it again, and now I've been playing it for the last week. And so during that second time that I came back was when they were giving away Living World for free. For some reason, they were giving Season 4 of Living World for free. So I'd log in every day, and I would get one episode for free just for logging in, right? So there are ways of getting Living World for free. And on top of it, there's also something that I neglected to tell you, which is you can exchange, very much like the WoW token, right? There's a system in this game where you can basically buy the premium currency with gold. So a player that grinds, they can get, even if they take a long break and then they go in and grind for gold, they can transform their gold into premium currency and just buy Living World for gold.
The James.
Hell, you can buy, you can buy expansions. You can just straight up buy expansions of the game by farming gold if you want to. I don't know how hard it is to do, because I don't really do gold farming, because that's pretty fucking boring, right? But
I mean,
you
to be honest with you, I'm looking at it here, right? Path of Fire and Heart of Thorns, $750 US right now. So chat, this is what I'm looking at.
That's discounted.
Dragons.
That's discounted right now, I think, right? They got their Black Friday shit going on.
Yeah, it's like massively discounted. Then you have End of Dragons, which is discounted from $29.99 to $14.99.
Yeah.
And then the newest expansion is $25.99. So basically, you could pick up all of its expansions for less than the current World of Warcraft expansion.
Yep. And the thing is, I think when you get all those expansions together, I think you're talking about an average, and actually, let's not even say average. I would say rushed. If you're burning through all the content, I think you're talking about like 300 hours of content for one character.
What?
Like if all of those expansions, like actually I have Tarn Schnitzel in my chat. He can tell me like, Tarn Schnitzel, give me like an estimate of how many hours it would be for someone to just beeline story mode, all expansions. He's going to give me an estimate, but I think you're talking like about 300 hours easy. And again, that's like one character, because remember, like when it comes to Guild Wars, your race determines the story of the first time. It's like the base game. So if you play an Asura, you have one story. If you play a human, you have another story. And then some elements like interconnect and whatnot. If you play a Char, you have a different story. And even when you're creating your character, you create a background for it. So you're like, oh, for instance, in the Asura one, I was like, oh, which invention did you make? And I was like, what the fuck? Okay, I made an invention of this weather manipulating device. And then it's like, okay, who is your biggest nemesis? And you pick like a name. Which school did you go to? And all of this stuff. And it kind of like, there's influences there's influences of that play a little bit into your story. It's not like, we're not talking like cyberpunk level, right? But you know, it's a little bit. And the thing is, there's choices. So like, say for instance, right, you have a scenario where there's these three orders in the game. And these three orders kind of like can almost be represented by the warrior order, the rogue order, and the mage order. Because like one of them is all about knowledge, which I would consider to be the mage order. The other one's about spying and stealth and covert shit, which is the Order of Whispers. And then there's the other one, which is like the Vigil, the guys who do shit head on. And as you're going through the story, they'll give you like these scenarios where they're like, okay, listen, so for our next objective, we can either go gather information on our enemy, so we can go and we can infiltrate and do some kind of like covert operation and whatnot, where, you know, it's expected for you to use stealth and stuff like that. Or we can go in, guns blazing, murder everyone, don't give a fuck, and you get to choose how you approach these missions based on, you know, either your own personal backstory or whatever the fuck you want to do. And there was like there was like constant choices that I was making throughout my quests. In my case, I was always like, yep, balls forward, let's fucking go.
It sounds like a proper Monster Hunter mentality, just fucking kill, kill, kill.
Yeah. And so so people are agreeing with me that it's about, I think the my character has around 100 hours, but I played it, already had all masteries unlocked. Okay, so that's the 200 hours for beeline story. But the thing is, you're talking about just beelining story, because the thing about Guild Wars is you have these map metas that you get these events in an area, and it's not like, you know how you have an event in something like Final Fantasy 14 or even in World of Warcraft, like you have your world quest, right? And so you'll do it, and you'll do that one event. It's like, hey, we did the event, we win, yay, it's over, great, fantastic, right? In this game, it doesn't work like that. So it's like, say for instance, one of the things that I did was like I would be fighting these centaurs, and then the centaurs would do like a large assault on one of the small outposts in the map, and you can go in there, and maybe you succeed in defending the assault. If you succeed in defending the assault, then the event goes a different direction, and you might push into the base of the centaurs to prevent them to keep assaulting that location. However, let's say you fail. You guys failed to, you know, repel the assault. The centaurs take over that outpost. You get kicked out of the outpost. And then there's another event that pops up, and you have to retake the outpost. And this is one of the most basic ones, right? Because there are ones that are way more complex, where you go into a facility and you start like blowing shit up, and then things start spawning. Like there's tons and tons and tons of these events. So when we're talking 200 hours, we're talking about a player ignoring every single one of these events and just going to the story. which I think it's the wrong way of going about it, but, each their own.
Dude, it blows my mind that this game, from what you're telling me and what chat is writing, like Epic Thulu is writing up a storm, Aragos is writing up a storm, Orias, Digitmerc, they're all just, going nuts on this. But from what I'm seeing from you guys, I don't understand why this game doesn't have a bigger following, but then at the same time...
Because drama sells, and there's not that much drama in this game, dude. That's the thing. There's not drama. Because, like, listen, even let's say 2 years ago, you wouldn't have heard that much about 14 because the Exodus hadn't happened yet, right? Like, some people would know about 14 and they would talk about 14, but the Exodus hasn't happened, so it wasn't really that much present in the conversation. Same thing for ESO. You don't really hear that many people talk about ESO unless, a new expansion came out, right? It's like you usually hear about World of Warcraft because there's tons of drama around World of Warcraft because the developers keep fucking up the game repeatedly. And also because it's the biggest one, right? But when the drama started happening and players started doing the WoW Exodus and went to 14, 14's popularity shot up. Like, I was playing 14 long before that happened, and I was really enjoying it, and I made content about it, and I can tell you, the content had almost no views. People did not consume that much. But when the Exodus happened, like, you started seeing creators like Xenosis grew exponentially, Arthur's grew exponentially, Zepla grew exponentially because of the whole situation with World of Warcraft and 14 and the dynamic that happened there. And it's just the reason why I don't see anything like that happen in Guild Wars 2 is because nothing similar happened to Guild Wars 2. It's just a chill game that the developers have been improving since day one. So there's not drama, there's not that much content done about the game to its detriment in a lot of ways.
I mean, the thing is, say what you will, but the constant controversy, I think, around WoW is also
Playing with mouse. Thank you very much for being grossly incandescent.
In a way, it also keeps WoW alive, right? Because people are still talking about it. Everyone is still talking about it. Whether that is because they're angry or not, doesn't matter, right? People are still talking about it, and this still converts. Yeah, it still converts people because there's always going to be, no matter what happens, there's always going to be some people out there that, wants to claim, wants to be contrarian, right? So someone complains about, wow, there's going to be that one fuck that's going to be like, oh, I'm going to go play it now because everyone seems to hate it. So,
and it's not even just that people want to be contrarian. Like, for instance, earlier today I was watching that Force video that he did about whether or not it's a good time to jump into World of Warcraft in 2023. And I've never been interested in hardcore World of Warcraft, and just listening to him talk about it made me want to go play hardcore classic WoW. Because he was going like, oh man, the players help each other out, and it's actually really fun. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that actually sounds really fun. But then I always remind myself, right up until my character dies after I put like fucking 50 hours into it, and then I'm just going to be a raging ball of fury.
Yeah. I mean, that is, like, when we're talking about WoW, I think Classic is a very interesting case study for what players actually want versus what developers think players want.
Yeah.
And I think Season of Discovery is going to do big work. I have this feeling that Season of Discovery is going to blow shit out of the water, right? I don't know why, but something about there's sort of like an air that's happening right now where I look on Twitter, I see the amount of videos coming out about Season of Discovery, and it's something that has been missing from retail for a very long time. That level of optimism, but also that level of anticipation. No one knows exactly what's coming because it wasn't on the PTR. So we don't know anything.
Part of it was on there. It's already been data mined, which is frustrating as hell as someone that wants to go in completely blind.
But there is some good news. According to Blizzard, at least, the stuff that was data mined are outdated. So it wasn't actually like it was actually just put on there for BlizzCon. And they gave the people at BlizzCon specifically like an older version that has like apparently none of the things that we've seen is anything like what is in the game. It was just placeholders.
I hope so. As a matter of fact, I was even wishing, and this is something that I would love to see Blizzard do, not just for Season of Discovery, but for every single PTR that they do. Just put random bullshit on there. Like complete random asinine bullshit that makes no fucking sense. That'll get people to draw all of the wrong conclusions and misinform everyone repeatedly. I would love it. I would laugh my ass off. All of the people data mining the game, fuck them. You know, get fucked. Like, just get misinformed into oblivion. I would love to see Blizzard just put out a PTR that's chock full of bullshit. And then when the game actually comes out, none of it is in the game. And people will be like, well, what the fuck? What the hell happened? It's like, oh my God, we actually have to play the game and understand it instead of having it solved ahead of time? Like, what do you mean? No, we can't do that.
I would love that too. Dude. I think PTR, you see, the thing is, I personally think that PTR destroys so much of the
100%
fun of a game. And what's I think truly egregious about PTR is that it destroys it in such a way that the player base doesn't necessarily even know
what they're missing.
Yeah, they don't know that it's destroying a lot of the mystery and mystique and intrigue that the game otherwise would have to offer, because we've just gotten so used to it, right? The game comes out and you pretty much know right from the first minute exactly what the right build is for your class. I'm watching Paranoid Pixie. She's a fellow South African streamer, and I've been watching her streams quite a bit lately because she is playing World of Warcraft. No. She's playing World of Warcraft retail, but for the first time ever. She's never played WoW. She's never played MMOs. This is her first MMO ever.
Interesting.
And she got onto WoW purely because she watched my streams where we're always talking about WoW, and she was like, everyone seems to love this so much. Let me go try it out. And now she has done the unfucking thinkable.
Uh-oh.
She has no add-ons installed.
Oh,
she doesn't know that guides exist. She doesn't know that there's YouTube videos telling you how to play. So I'm watching this person, right, fully experience the game.
And what's the experience been like?
She loves it. Yeah. But she makes so many mistakes that I know, obviously, because I've played WoW so long that I'm looking at her do things and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? I'm watching her get killed by mobs, and she's just ice lancing with no procs whatsoever, no frostbolts casting, just ice lancing, doing 200 damage at a fucking hit. I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Sounds fun.
I'm watching her. Yeah, but I'm watching her do all this random shit that a guide would tell you in 2 seconds.
Never do this. This is a terrible
idea. Never do this.
Idea,
do this.
She's
this is how you play. But she's having the time of her life.
Yeah.
She went into a dungeon yesterday, and I was watching, and I thought, this group's gonna kick her because she pulls the wrong mobs. She doesn't interrupt. She doesn't move out of damage.
Well, wait, she's playing a tank?
With her mouse.
I thought she was playing a mage.
No, she's playing mage, frost mage. But
and why is she pulling mobs?
Because she doesn't. She's playing Diablo, right? In Diablo, you just pull shit. So she's just pulling shit, right? And she's just having the time of her fucking life, bro. Just hanging out. And I'm watching this, right? And I remember that's how I used to be. Because when I started playing WoW, you get fucked when you find a guide online, right? The first guide I ever saw online was Warlock Stain. And that was back in Wrath. Right? With TBC, or early TBC, light vanilla, there was no such thing as a guide. You figured the fucking shit out as you played. So it's been truly insane to watch her play this. And as annoying as it is for someone like myself, because yesterday she kept dying to these mobs, and I asked her, listen here, can I give you some pointers? And she was like, yes, please. And so now I'm trying to explain to her, right? But I'm trying to keep it as basic as possible because I don't want to ruin the discovery for her. But I'm sort of telling her, okay, you want to ice frostbolt until you get a proc. And she's like, what's a proc? All right. Do you see the little wings on your screen? And she goes, no, what wings? I'm like, okay, there's these blue little wings to the side of your character. And dude, it's there. She's busy casting Frostbolt and I can see the wings. And she's like, no, what wings? I'm like,
I can't
there's
see
wings. I don't have wings. I'm like, okay, there's two blue things.
She's
on
probably
the
looking
side
at her
of your
character instead of looking at the thing, the UI.
Yeah, but, so eventually we got there. And I was like, okay, when these things proc, you can use Ice Lance. What's Ice Lance? It's the thing that you constantly cast without the procs. Yeah. So she's like, okay, cool. And now she's casting that. And I go, but okay, you also want to do Flurry, but only when it procs. And she again goes, wait, it procs too? I'm like, yes, the thing you keep casting that hits for fuck all damage, but has a pretty long cast time. Wait for it to proc and it'll be instant. And then also Ice Lance right after that, because Ice Lance does max damage if you flurry, Dude, watching her face as she's learning this, I realized, just play.
Yep.
There's no point in me, because I am going to ruin everything for you.
Yep.
And we're just talking about the basic rotation of your fucking class. We haven't even gotten to the hard shit yet. We haven't even gotten to the management shit. Just enjoy it. Just play. Have fun. And she is. She's having the time of her life. She's doing everything wrong. Like, every player would look at her and go, what the fuck's this? But you see, that's the beauty of it. She doesn't know that there's such a thing as guides out there. She doesn't know that there's people that will teach you how to play. She is doing what I wish more players would do.
Figure shit out.
She's just having fun. She's just enjoying the game.
I agree. And it kind of sucks because, like, we've gotten to a point where people, because this is the thing that kind of kills a lot of the things that were always fun to me in World of Warcraft. Because, like, for instance, like I always told you, I love Mythic Plus. Mythic Plus is my jam. I've been thinking about it, and when I play the War Within, I don't think I'm going to do Mythic Plus at all, because I already know what it's like. The moment that the PTR goes online, Dratnos, and by the way, Dratnos is amazing content creator, no shade on him.
Yeah.
But it's like Dratnos is going to go in there, he's going to get the roots for, the best possible roots for Mythic Plus, or the most efficient ones for the beginning. Everybody's going to look up those roots. They're going to install, now it's called, I believe, Mythic Dungeon Tools, so that they can download the roots from whatever website it is. I think it's Mythic Plus. But I don't know. There's a website for it. Probably Raider.io. Raider.io, Dratnos roots. People are going to download Mythic Dungeon Tools. They're going to download those roots. And those roots are exactly what you need to do. It's like, this is how you pull. And if you go into a group of randoms as the tank and you go like, no, we're not going to do that route. I'm going to pull this mob instead. The moment you pull that mob, you get a hard R and somebody leaves the group.
Oh shit! Yep.
That's pretty much the way that it goes. And because the moment something like that is kind of like figured out or somewhat optimized, that is the de facto expectation, unless you're playing with a full pre-made of people that you know or something like that. It just straight up becomes de facto expectation. And if you don't play the game like everybody outside the game tells you to play the game, then you're playing it wrong and you should delete your character.
So I think when he's saying hard R, I think he means rage. I don't think he means the other hard R.
No. That's exactly what I was saying. No. It's just like somebody just goes hard R.
People actually still say that?
Oh,
shit?
No, of course they do. Wow. I mean, they'll like disguise it. They'll just be like, they'll change some letters around or whatever. But that's the point.
Wow. I mean, maybe that's because I don't do dungeons. I don't do raids. So I don't see any of that shit, right? Yeah. In my game. but that's because I only play open world, right? And I don't think the open world is hard enough that someone would be that frustrated with shit, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing with delves in the war within. I'm gonna be like, bro, I think this is gonna be my jam because I can. Not to mention that delves allows them to get away from the one of the concepts of Mythic Plus. Because like, to me, the Mythic Plus would be perfect if you remove the timer and force players to kill everything in the dungeon. I mean, depending on the dungeon, because some dungeons have way too much trash. But you get the idea, right? Just get rid of the timer, and the more shit you kill, the more loot you get, or something like that, with some type of upper limit. Because the fun part to me is exploring the dungeon and killing things and having that be challenging. And that actually doesn't exist in World of Warcraft, because World of Warcraft is all about speed running, okay? We want to kill the least amount of mobs possible and finish the dungeon. And I was like, bro, I just want to kill everything that's in here.
Yeah.
You know, so with delves, they can kind of like get away from that, and they can just do different experiences.
See, I think...
Go ahead.
No. Because I'm reading chat here at the same time, and Atom Jar seems like he's not... I don't think he's agreeing. But I do want to say just on this front, guys, I do want to say... careful of anecdotal evidence. Like, Rurikhan is literally just sharing what his experiences are in WoW.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying that this is everyone. I'm saying it's happened to me once or twice, maybe.
And I think also at the same time, you know, everyone's gonna have different experiences.
Yeah.
And also remember, a lot of experiences that we have in video games are very much the result of, or how we are going to perceive those experiences is gonna vary greatly. So, for example, famously, when someone comes into like a League of Legends game, right, and they tell me, I hope your fucking family dies, I'm gonna do this to your mother and do this to your father, I laugh my fucking ass off, right? Like, it is the funniest shit ever to me, because I love watching someone rage and I'm just over here having fun. Right? I'm just over here chilling my fucking shit off, and this guy is banging his keyboard. He's so frustrated. So to me, that shit's funny. It leaves no lasting impression whatsoever. I don't even report people like that, because I don't want it out of my game. It's funny as fuck, as far as I'm concerned. But then you do get other people that, for them, it is really bad, right? And it does affect them in a very bad way. And so clearly they're going to walk away from that feeling very, very different. But I think the point that I'm making here, and the point that Rurikhan is making here, is a lot of the fun exploration in World of Warcraft has been removed by, and someone earlier in chat mentioned that streamers have a lot to do with that. And you are absolutely right.
Yeah.
In fact, it's streamers and YouTubers that are wholly to blame for it. It is our fault.
Wholly to blame for it? I mean, look, it's not...
because...
No, wait a minute. It's not streamers and YouTubers that are telling Blizzard to not test their shit internally and put up PTRs and just outsource the QA to the community. Actually,
it is. Because if you look at... So go into the YouTube category whenever there's a new PTR and look at the amount of YouTubers and streamers that are streaming that PTR and covering that PTR.
Yeah, but why does Blizzard put that PTR there to begin with?
Yeah, but this is the thing, right? Until such time that... So it's a very difficult problem to solve, because on the one hand, the content creators are absolutely part of that problem.
Yes, 100%.
Right?
But like
they are the ones that perpetuate this. They are the ones that push this. They are the ones that consistently ask for this, because obviously numbers go up when you cover the PTR, right? Like, big numbers when you cover the PTR. But it's not a problem. So I think what I want to say, and then you'll have your opportunity to push back on this. The reason I say streamers and content creators are absolutely to blame for it also comes with we are not the ones that can fix it, though. the fix has to come from Blizzard. Because if I say, well, I'm not going to cover PTR, that just means some other fucker's going to cover the PTR and get all the views anyways, right? So either I cover it and get the views for myself, or I don't cover it and some other fucking schmuck gets the views. But it's not going to stop unless Blizzard stops it. And now you can go.
So you're saying that this is a very hard problem to solve. And to me, it's like... No,
without Blizzard. Without Blizzard.
No, but it's
a
like,
very hard problem without Blizzard.
Okay, without Blizzard. Because you just said it's a very hard problem to solve. And to me, it's like, no, it's not hard.
Sorry,
and the interesting thing to me is that people always come up and they come up with... Because this is the part that really frustrates me, is when people make up excuses for Blizzard. For Blizzard or for any other corporation, really. But with Blizzard, it happens more often than not. So, like, say, for instance, I'll criticize the PTR. And people go like, well, if they don't do the PTR, you know, it's going to come out full of bugs. And it's like, and why is that? Why does it come out full of bugs? And then I'll give them the example of Final Fantasy XIV, and I'll go like, hey, look, Final Fantasy XIV seems to be launching Savage raid tiers and Ultimate raid tiers, and those really don't have too many problems. The latest one that I remember needing an adjustment was P4S. They needed to nerf the boss's health by 1%. Because the internal raid team was too good and it was performing too well. So they overestimated
you told me about this.
They overestimated the capacity of the overall player base based on the performance of their internal raid team by 1%. That was like one of the bigger mistakes that I've seen recently, right? And so it's like if the Final Fantasy XIV team is able to test all of these things internally and release them without a PTR, you know, they might have some type of player participation. I don't know if they have or not, but if they do, it's under NDA because you never hear content creators talking about it. So, So basically, it's like if they're able to field all of these things and figure everything out and balance it out and change classes, and do they make a perfect job? No, sometimes they fuck up a class and now it's nerfed and nobody wants to play it. Yeah, that happens. It's always going to happen, no matter what you do. But at the very least, players don't jump into a raid with the raid already being fucking solved. Which is the biggest problem that I have. And the thing that really annoys me when I bring this point up is that people will just blindly say, well, but Final Fantasy XIV is way simpler, so therefore it's easier to do. And it's like, it's like, listen, we didn't ask Blizzard to make 56 specs, or however many fucking specs the game has right now with the hero talents that they're putting into the game. We didn't ask them to do that. They did that. It's not my problem. It's not my problem how you figure it out. Just figure it out and have the game not be spoiled by the time that it comes out. I think that's reasonable. And I don't think it's reasonable for people to come up with imaginary excuses of balance because Blizzard sucks at balancing whether the community is involved or not. They probably just suck way harder if the community isn't involved. But it's like, that's still not an excuse. Hire more people to QA. How is this any of our problem? I just want a game that is not spoiled day one.
You see, I don't think Blizzard needs to hire QA. All they need to do is open up a PTR, but lock it to a specific amount of people, and in order to go onto the PTR, you have to sign an NDA, right? Yep. So you're not allowed to talk about it, you're not allowed to show it, and all you do there is you have an overlay on the screen that has a number. We had this during the Classic era, right? When Blizzard was PTRing Classic, They literally had those numbers across the screen, which means that if you are the one, right, leaking it, they know exactly who leaked it because every number is tied to a specific account and that account can be banned immediately. And then what I would argue is in order to make it worth the content creators while or whoever wants to go on the PTR, give them a fucking title, right? Like Accolonn the Tester or whatever, right? Give them a title in-game once it goes live to sort of celebrate the fact that they help make it a good patch, right?
But the thing is, if you have people testing it, they can't be part of the Race to World first. They can't. They cannot compete in any way, shape, or form with any of the raid events or anything like that. They can't do it. They just can't do it.
Yeah. Well, I would say I don't believe raid bosses need to be tested, because if I'm not mistaken,
a lot of people would disagree with that.
No, but if I'm not mistaken, the last few raids, there were the last few bosses weren't testable at all. If I'm not mistaken, the last few raids, you couldn't test for Rack, for example, I think, on the PTR.
See, that's a step in the right direction. Yeah, that's a step in the right direction. I hope that they keep going that direction. Because I'll be the one to admit they have been taking steps in that direction. So it's important to acknowledge that I feel like they failed plenty in the past, but it's also important to acknowledge that I feel like they're doing strides in the right direction. It's just I want it to be done faster. It's like because for instance, right? When the War Within comes out, the quest lines are already going to be known. The puzzles are already going to be solved, like a majority of it. Because Dragonflight was like that, right?
Yeah.
At least I believe that was the case. Because I didn't look any of that stuff up because I wanted to experience it for myself. But, people were running around with add-ons that were telling them where all the rares were, what were the solutions to all of the puzzles, and there was just very few things left to discover. And I think that's a huge problem, because discovery is just something that is super enjoyable and people forget about it. And it's like I was going to go into another thing, but we can get a little bit deeper into that maybe further ahead.
I mean, I would say yes to all of that. I still I see chat responding to this. I still don't believe that you need to taste the right bosses. I think if there's one thing you could expect Blizzard to do, I get not being able to taste all of the game, right? It's a big game. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. I get that. But the raid isn't that big. It's not anywhere near the same as the zones. Are you telling me that Blizzard can't get a bunch of developers together that can actually taste the raids? I don't buy that. I don't buy that for a second. I'm sure there's enough people at Blizzard that plays this game at a pretty high level that could test the raids and make sure that the raids are absolutely doable. It just requires a little bit of effort from Blizzard's perspective, and you can have those bosses. You can have the raids be completely untested. Or if you do need to test it, only test normal mode, right? Which means all of the mechanics for Heroic and all of the mechanics for Mythic is completely unexplored. Sorry, yes.
So on the topic of raids, though, have you seen the recent Bellilar video on the numbers for World of Warcraft, the raid completion and all of that?
I heard it looks really good.
Yeah. So one of the things that was brought up in that video was that apparently the Heroic version of the latest raid, a lot of people are saying that it was maybe too easy. And so one of the things that got me thinking is okay, so you're saying that this raid was easy. Now my question is, but were you using deadly boss mods? Were you using weak auras? And would the raid have been as easy as you say if you weren't using those things? Or would it have been a proper raid where you didn't need to use those things and it would still be challenging if you weren't using those things? See, that's the point that I'm getting. Because nowadays, with a lot of the people that are reporting on World of Warcraft, right? The point of view that you're getting is the point of view of someone that is using deadly boss mods and weak auras and all of that bullshit, right? What if Blizzard are finally beginning to move in the direction where it's well, yeah, you have all those tools, use them if you want to, but you don't need them. Effectively using those tools, you're kind of cheating. Because, let's face it, that's essentially what add-ons are nowadays. They're basically, deadly boss mods. Yeah, it's a fucking cheat.
It's close to, yeah. If it's not full-on, it is close to.
It's like blasting air horns whenever an AoE is about to come, within 10 centimeters of your character. It's just oh, okay.
True. I would say, I think, personally, because this is now the third time that we've had a raid where the player base have gone, oh, this is too easy. But we constantly see the numbers tick up, raid to raid. More and more people are actually partaking in the raid. More and more people are actually sticking with the raid. And I think this is a hot take, chat. I realize this is going to be a very hot take, but I have a feeling that this is Classic's fault. Blizzard have realized that the classic raids are super easy, but they're fun. People are actually having fun. This is why guilds are still going back every week to clear the classic raids, because they're having fun.
Yeah.
And so Blizzard have sort of they've taken a different approach to raids where they say, for normal and heroic, let's just make the bosses fun. Let's not make the bosses too complex. Let's not over-design these bosses to create this esports environment. And what you're seeing is more people are participating in it. More people are enjoying it. And they're sort of saying, right, if you want that challenge, that's going to be Mythic. That's where the challenge is going to exist. And if you look at the recent polls, the last Farak was fucking difficult, right? They did struggle with Farak quite a bit. But I ultimately think it's on purpose. I do think Blizzard is doing this on purpose. They've realized the player base may say, oh my god, it's so easy, but they also happen to play more when it is easy. So why would you try to make it hard? You know?
Yeah. I'm just like hoping against hope that it would be something where they're like, look, we don't want to support these add-ons. Fuck them, okay? We will make these bosses readable for you, and that would actually enable players that have never played World of Warcraft, like your other streamer that you were just mentioning, and maybe she can just go into a raid and not need to install 50 different weak auras and deadly boss mods blasting air horns into your face nonstop. And you can just go into the raid and play the game. I know it's a novel concept, but, you know, this is something that you can actually just do in Final Fantasy XIV. You can just go into a raid and play the game.
Yeah. You see, the problem is once players have something, taking it away from them is always going to be like a huge question mark, right?
Which is
you're
why
always going to have those players that, I don't want to lose my add-ons. Fuck you.
Yeah, I want blasting air horns in my face, and I want my screen to flash red, and I want to have more interface than actual video game on my screen. Because like whenever I watch like a raid POV, I'm looking at somebody and it's like, I don't understand if you're playing, you know, World of Warcraft or Microsoft Excel. I think you're playing Microsoft Excel. It's just got a little bit of WoW visuals in the background. While they're playing your Microsoft Excel video game. And I personally don't find it fun. Now I understand that apparently there's a lot of players that do, because there's a ton of people that always come out of the woodwork to defend these add-ons. So, you know, maybe I'm the problem. I don't know.
So T-King makes a very good observation here. So we already know that Blizzard have removed the ability for proximity readings, right?
Good.
On boss mods. So boss mods can no longer really track proximity stuff.
Oh, there used to be a one of the modules of Deadly Boss mods was like a little square with a circle that would tell you when people were within 5 yards of you or whatever the fuck it was. So they can't do that anymore?
According to T-King, that's been removed. Like, they can't tell you where you are in the world anymore.
Dude, how many people raged when Blizzard removed that?
Well, funnily enough...
I can imagine the forums on fire.
But no, funnily enough, because it was just the one change, there wasn't actually that much anger over it. Some people probably a little argued about it, but there wasn't that much issues with it. And then the other thing Blizzard announced was some bosses will have what they call private auras, which means it doesn't matter how good the add-on wants to be, the add-on can physically not track that thing. So there's abilities that the bosses have that cannot be tracked anymore. Now, what T-King is getting to, and what I think is maybe actually fucking true, we all said it would be great if Blizzard removed the add-ons from WoW. The problem is that
I don't
once
think
you
we've
give it
all
to
said
people,
that. I don't think we've all said that.
Well,
I think some of us have said that. I think a large majority does not want that.
No. You are right. There's a bunch of players that do not want to lose their add-ons. But a lot of, like, the hardcore player base, a lot of the more content creators and stuff like that, we have complained and said we don't want add-ons. Now, the one thing that I've said from the beginning is once players have something, you can't remove it. It will create outcry. But what you can do is remove it slowly.
Blizzard
right?
are using the boiling frog that they've mastered by
Exactly.
slowly giving us more and more microtransactions. Now they're using that experience to slowly take away add-on functionality. I approve.
Yeah.
At least you're finally using it for something good that's going to improve the video game.
But, I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Because removing... So, every few patches, add-ons may actually find themselves tracking fewer and fewer things. And at some point, it'll be that add-ons can't really track anything. And I think that may be where Blizzard is going with this. But again, it's one of those things where you can't just come out of the gate and say, no, we're stopping all of this, right?
Yeah.
Because you are going to get people that on a whim will just quit the game, right? Because I want my add-ons, go fuck yourself. And I sort of, so this is a big part of, like, a big question. Why is Blizzard spending so much time updating the base UI? This is a question that I've been sort of struggling with and grappling with for a while, because up until literally a year ago, it was sort of assumed that when you start playing WoW, you very quickly you get an add-on, and the add-on can allow you to do just about anything, right? So the interface upgrade from Blizzard is a completely... I don't even think that it was ever really asked for by the player base. I don't think anyone cared, because you just get an add-on and that's it. But now Blizzard continues to update the add-on. So it's not just that they gave the the interface a graphical overhaul and then they left it again. It's more a case now of they keep updating it. And I can see a world in which Blizzard is trying to get the base UI to a place where add-ons are no longer required in order to run the base UI, and then maybe removing functionality slowly but surely for the base UI add-ons. So, something like Alv UI suddenly starts losing the ability to change the bars, or starts losing the ability to do X, Y, or Z, right? So, again, slowly but surely, but they needed to get the base UI to a place. So I, for example, switched completely to the base UI and installed all of my add-ons that do base UI.
You finally got rid of Elf UI, bro? Stuff. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, man.
And I must admit, I like it more. Like, I actually like the base UI. It does everything I need it to do perfectly.
It's like in terms of UI stuff, right? The one thing that you want to get usually, if you care, would be like recount, so that you can kind of like get a gauge of how your group is doing. So that's an important thing. Yeah.
I mean,
one of the things that was
but,
actually it's not recount anymore, it's details, you're right. But another thing would be the bars. You'd need bartender. Like, bartender was a must. Bartender, I stopped using it with the Dragonflight update. I'm like, I don't need it. I can manage the bars and do everything just fine with the base UI, so I don't need bartender anymore. I mean, I guess you can change the map now as well, right? So you don't need sexy map. So you can actually just get rid of a ton of stuff. I've never really used tracking add-ons like handy notes or any of that stuff. So, I never even used those to begin with. So I just used the basic stuff until eventually the people that I was playing with forced me to get weak auras to do Mythic Plus, and then bitched at me thinking that I wasn't using weak auras, and it was like, I am, you just didn't see it, but whatever.
Weak auras I kind of get. Like, I don't mind the basic weak aura, because weak auras literally just allow you to see. So, for example, the weak auras that I run, it literally just tells me how much time I have left on all of my dots and what the cooldowns are on my spells. And again, this is sort of, it's giving me information that I could get from just looking, to my bar, but I can put it anywhere on the screen, and that's fine.
I'm not against those, but it's like any weak aura that involves simplifying a raid mechanic or a boss mechanic should just be deleted from the game. Just like straight up delete it.
But this is again where I think Blizzard is going, where eventually weak auras will literally just exist as how I use it, which is only to tell me how long my cooldown is on any of my spells, so that I don't have to fucking track that shit. Because, I can look down at my bar, but the bars automatically have to be at the bottom of the screen. Your character isn't at the bottom of the screen, and so the eye movement is quite significant, especially on a bigger monitor. It's no longer the year fucking 1999 where everyone's playing on like a 16-inch CRT, right?
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
So the bars are quite far down, and I don't want to continuously look down in order to see where, how much time is there left on, agony or. But I mean,
you can just make a bar that has all of those spells that you want to keep track of and put it closer to your character.
Yeah. No, you obviously can.
And you can even make it with the base UI now. You can even make it so that bar disappears when you're out of combat for added immersion. That's the way that I was playing with the base UI.
No, I think there's a lot of things that the base UI can still incorporate, and something like that, where it becomes just being able to track personal stuff, I think is good. I'm not one of the, I know you and I have a difference of opinion on add-ons insofar as I believe that add-ons are fine as long as all they're doing is allowing you to customize where you get your information.
That's pretty much where I land
how
too.
you get, but where, right?
Yeah.
So if a boss add-on tells you how many seconds is left on a boss's ability, that's too far.
Yep.
You shouldn't know that. The boss should have a very clear visual and audio cue for when the next ability is going to happen, and you should learn that, right? But if it's just seeing when your Curse of Agony is going to fall off, that's fine, right? That's an information thing. You just need to know that so that you can... So that's sort of where I am. As long as it's just being able to customize where you get your information, I think that's fine for add-ons, as far as I'm concerned. Or purely aesthetic, which I'm also perfectly fine with. I don't want to remove Alv UI from, the way to make your bars look like anything, or bartender. I think those are fine. There's some people that like round little bars. There's other people that like, but yeah, I'm with you on basically any of the boss mods. I'm right there with you. I think they've gone much so ultimately what they've done is they've created this arms race between the developers and the add-on makers, as the developers had to react to, oh shit, I think someone just gifted a fuck ton of memberships on YouTube. Oh shit, Purple Boat, you bastard, with the 10 gifted memberships. Really appreciate your fam. Hearts in chat, ladies and gentlemen. Hearts in chat. You rock, bro. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Congrats.
What was I saying again?
We were talking about the add-ons being used for boss when it came to boss add-ons.
Oh, yes. That's true. I think... so yes, the developers... The add-on makers make the fights trivial. Now the developers have to make the fights harder.
Yep.
And then the add-on developers make it trivial again, and the developers have to make it harder. And before you know, we have bosses like Sylvanas and Zuval, which is a complete cock-up, right? Where there's just so many things happening at exactly the same time, because that's the only way they can catch the players out. That's the only way they can make the fight hard, is by basically putting the player base... I'll ask this, and this is something I've asked before. A lot of people in my community will know this, but I would be interested to know what your community thinks of this as well. How many times have you been in a raid where the raid leader goes, stop DPS, we can't go over to the next phase? I mean, it happens on pretty much every boss.
Yep, I've seen that quite a few times. Even though I haven't raided in years, there's definitely been a lot of instances of that back when I was raiding consistently. Yup. Stop DPS. Yeah, let's not go into the next phase. Save your cooldowns. Let this mechanic happen. If you go into the next phase,
because the mechanics will then overlap and you'll die. So you have to stop DPS and then sit and wait because mechanics overlap. That should never happen, right? Like, what do you mean stop DPS so that we can have a mechanic happen? Because it's going to overlap. The fact that they can overlap suggests that something went wrong in the development phase here. Because the boss is trying to fuck you over. Or, and this is particularly egregious, and I've had pulls like this where about 20 seconds into the pull, you go, wipe it, guys, fucking wipe it. This is a nightmare. Because it just so happens that things went wrong, and now you're going to get two very bad mechanics at the same time. So you may as well just wipe now because there's no point.
Yeah.
And that should never happen. You should never have a pull be called 20 seconds into the pull because something went wrong and now you're going to have a giant fuck up, right? As a result of it. Someone missed an interrupt or missed a soak. And now the wipe is just, you have to wipe because you know you can't survive what's coming next. That's just bad
It's one of those, it's one of those raid mechanics that is just, it should be in a way where it's like raids need to be challenging, but they shouldn't need you to use add-ons. And add-ons should never make raids as raid mechanics as trivial as they have done in the past. And it's a strange thing because it also sometimes makes me wonder because you constantly hear people saying, "Oh, I want to tackle the most challenging content." It's like, okay, here's the most challenging content. Okay, now I'm going to make it easier by installing 50 different add-ons that are going to tell me everything about this encounter. It's like, well, do you want the challenge or not? Like, what do you mean you're making it easier? Like, what are we talking about here? So it's like that's the thing. Yeah. Which is why I feel like raids, in a way, need to be mechanically something that, with our current usage of add-ons, would be trivially simple. But without those add-ons, it would be challenging.
Yeah. You see, so here's how I would explain it. I want the raids to be hard, but I do not want the raids to be overly complex. And a lot of people will immediately go, but what do you mean? In order for it to be hard, it has to be complex.
No, it doesn't.
And that's not true. You can have a very hard fight that isn't so complex that you need an add-on to track 50 different things just to be able to do the fucking raid. Because at that point, you're not, like, it's not a hard fight. It's a mess. And you need an add-on to basically help you decode the mess.
There was actually a raid mechanic that I was not a huge fan of. It's not a hard raid mechanic, mind you. In Final Fantasy XIV, when I stopped doing Savage raiding, it was around the time that we had solved this mechanic and we were still going through it to figure out the next mechanic and whatnot. But this is a mechanic where it got to the point where, because the stuff that is happening is already so overwhelming that they're just like, okay, during this phase you can't damage the boss. As in, not like you can't, for some reason you have to stop damaging it or you'll die. It's like, no, you literally just can't target the boss so that you can focus on the mechanic. And the mechanic is almost like playing tic-tac-toe with your characters' heads. So like playing tic-tac-toe with symbols on top of it. I was just like, what the fuck is this? This is such a weird thing. It's like, I just want to be hitting the boss, man.
Star Ogre had this.
Make the tree.
Kazak had this to some, not Kazak. Archimon had this to some extent. Star Ogre was a terrible fight on that particular mechanic, and then we got an add-on, and that solved.
Yeah, and that just solved the problem.
But without the add-on, Star Ogre was basically undoable, because on Star Ogre, every single person in the raid had to be perfect. because you had these marks above your head and you had to run to the other person with the mark. Even if, and this actually fucking happened, which is one of the few times that I actually said, fuck it, everyone download WeakAuras now, this is bullshit. I had this
You were
4
part of the
times,
problem.
but listen to this, bro. 4 times in a row. So we had a very problematic rogue back in my old guild. Like, I mean, problematic. Well, we had other problematic players, but this player was like, I'm pretty sure they were raiding from like some fucking secret facility where all people that are very stupid go. Like, seriously. So 4 times in a row, my match is with this rogue. And I'm running after the rogue to try and link up with the rogue. And the rogue is sprinting the fuck away from me, looking for the person. And I'm yelling, it's me, just fucking stop. Stop running. I don't want to say their name now. But they just keep running. And then we die. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and then I go, before the pull, I'm like, okay, listen here. Listen here. Don't move. If you get the mark, do not move. I'll move to you, right? Just stand still, I'll get to you. The very next pull, we get the same mark again, and again, same fucking thing happens. Sprint on, let's go, all over the room, bro, die. I'm like, motherfucker. By the 4th time, I was like, nope, done. Everyone get the fucking add-on. This is not going to continue. I'm done with this bullshit. Please just get the add-on. And then finally, the add-on told them, here's the arrow, go there. And it fixed it, right? So, but the problem with that mechanic is you can see how that mechanic was designed specifically knowing that add-ons is a thing, right? And they had to come up with a mechanic that, because even with the add-on, it was still somewhat of a test at least. So it's sort of like, it's one of those things where if Blizzard doesn't take action, where does it end? What do bosses look like 10 years from now if we continue this arms race between Blizzard and the add-on developers? Right?
The thing is, it just becomes such a mess that it is completely unattainable for most people unless they're willing to just like spend, I don't know, friggin' 3 hours installing bullshit all the friggin' time. But
yeah. But I mean, onto the actual thing that we wanted to talk about, Season of Discovery. You know, now after an hour and a half, like you said, let me call you about Season of Discovery. Hour and a half later, let's talk about Season of Discovery.
Oh my god. So the thing about Season of Discovery, right, is the fact that there are changes. Because if it's just the same old, like I've already played vanilla. Have you ever even played Classic at all?
Yeah. I have a Warlock that I'm sort of spending sort of casual time on every once in a while.
Do you do hardcore as well, or just like regular Classic?
No, just regular Classic. I'm just having fun with it.
Yeah. Because, like, to me, Classic isn't really something that I'm particularly interested in. It's because, like, again, I've done vanilla. I know what it's like. I think it's cool for the people that never did it. I'm not interested. But Classic, that is different, and that it has a level cap of 25. So I don't have to no-life the game just in order to be on par with the pace that people go. It just sounds like a really fun experiment. And also, the changes that they're doing to classes sounds interesting because they're going to shake up the meta. So things are not going to be, hopefully, they're not going to be solved within the first couple of weeks. Because, like, my expectation for Season of Discovery is, like, this is going to be fun, at least for the first week, maybe the first 2 weeks. After that, everybody's playing. I mean, from day one, people are going to be playing with Wowhead on their second monitor, which sucks. It's just, but it is what it is, you know. But 2 weeks from now, they're going to be playing with Wowhead on their monitor with all of the solutions, all of the runes, everything. Or actually, it's not even Wowhead. It's just an add-on that guides them to all of the important runes that they want to go get, right? With the solutions, the puzzle, and all that.
Well,
but during the first 2 weeks, it'll be interesting because people are hopefully not going to know what is going on. And that is when an MMO is at its best.
But here is an interesting little thing. Most of the add-on developers have already committed to not making add-ons available that shows you any of the discovery stuff.
It's the same thing as the content creator thing that we said earlier. If you don't do the PTR thing, somebody else is going to do it. So if the biggest add-ons aren't doing it, some other crappy add-on will do it. Unfortunately, that's just the way that it is.
But here's the one hope. The one hope is that the community reacts. So, because if you think about it, Final Fantasy is a great example of this. Technically speaking, the only rule, so hard, fast rule that can get you banned from Final Fantasy XIV is if you data mine stuff before it actually goes live. But once it's live, you can absolutely play through the story in, like, say, 4 hours, then take the final boss, take a screenshot of the final boss, and put that picture on Twitter, right? And use that picture as your thumbnail. Now, here's the problem if you do that in Final Fantasy XIV. People will instantly start unfollowing you on Twitter.
Good.
And you'll instantly destroy your YouTube channel, right? If you have 100,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube, you're probably losing, like, a good amount. Like, thousands will leave you. Because in the Final Fantasy community, there is an unspoken rule. You may not cover leaks for at least 2 weeks after new content comes out. After 2 weeks, now everyone's free to speak about, you know, spoilers and all the rest of it, but you need to give people at least 2 weeks in order to play through it. In this instance, I'm hoping the classic community feels the same way, right? I hope that if there is such an add-on that comes out and leaks the discovery stuff, that the community themselves starts going after these add-on makers and basically, you know, shame them to the point where they retract those add-on creations. Don't attack them personally, of course, that's not what I'm saying, but shame the add-on and shame users of the add-on to the point where no one wants to touch those add-ons. No one wants to use those add-ons because at the end of the day, the whole point of this is to discover stuff, right? The whole point of this is to...
That's why it's called Season of Discovery.
I really hope that Wowhead gets their shit kicked in if they're going to be the people that... Because I already think they are.
They've already done it. Like, they went into the recent classic PTR and they're just like, guys, look at all these new runes we found! Holy shit! And it's like, bro, like, so, come on.
I want to ask a question. Formax says, either waste time discovering or read add-on it up and don't waste time. Can you define time wasting for me, Formax?
Oh, after you. I want to turn. I want to turn after you do it.
Yes. Roaming Firebat, take care of yourself. Thanks so much for having me. Okay, so here's my immediate takeaway from that. If we've reached a point where playing a video game is considered a waste of time, I feel like your addiction have gotten the better of you. Like, you are so addicted that the act of playing the fucking game is a waste of time to you. You need to take a step back and rethink a lot of your life choices. That would be the equivalent of me going, oh, I don't like leveling in Witcher 3 because it's a waste of time. I just want to get to the end game so I can do New Game Plus.
End game of
like,
Witcher 3.
Like, what the fuck? The game is, like, built to be played through. It's a story. That's not a waste of time, right?
So, when it comes to the waste of time argument, because that's something that I see a lot of people talk about, And because
I
this
just
is
want to
also...
say, Formax.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just before you can, Formax isn't saying this as him. He's saying this is what people are saying.
This is what people are saying. Yeah. Well, I have experience with that. So like I've had people tell me this because, for instance, right, on a different game but kind of like the same overall vibe, Monster Hunter has gotten a lot more streamlined with its recent entries. Still a fantastic game. I love it. But one of the things that I've argued for is I believe the game needs to inconvenience you more. I think we need to be more inconvenienced. Because, for instance, right now, whenever you jump into a hunt in the most recent version of the game, it's like you get into a hunt and you already know, okay, there's this monster, that monster, that monster, and this monster's over here on the map, this other monster's over here, and the third monster's over there. So you know the exact positions where the monsters are. You don't really have to do anything to discover that. It's just there from the get-go, and you just really go in there and you beat the bejesus out of them. They can't run away. They can run away to a different zone of the map, but they can't really, like, escape or anything like that. So you just go in there and you beat the brakes off of them, which becomes more like a boss fight than necessarily a hunt. And I've argued, but it's like, I think there should be more inconvenience. There needs to be something to track the monsters, which is something that the game had in the past, where there were mechanics that you had to engage in order to know where the monster was. There were mechanics to engage in order to know how low on health the monster is and how effective certain things are going to be, like placing traps and so on and so forth. And there's mechanics to engage in that are inconvenient. A lot of players see these inconveniences as a problem. And the argument that they usually tell me is like, look, I don't have time for all of this bullshit because I work a real job. You know, like the stuff that we do is not a real job. That's always the subtle implication, right? There's like, I work a real job and I don't have the same amount of time that you do to play video games. So I don't want inconvenience. I want to get in there and I want to kill the monster. I don't want to waste my time. It's like the act of playing a video game is technically speaking a waste of your time. What you're saying is that you don't want to engage in fun things because they take too long. You need to finish your game fast in order to be done with it. And it's like, if that's the attitude that you're bringing into the game, I'm going to tell you the fastest way to finish a game, to be done with the game. Don't play it.
Don't play. Yeah.
You finished it. Congratulations. There you go. You don't have to play it at all. So it's very frustrating to me that people are willing to forego fundamental mechanics in video games in the everlasting chase of finishing them faster, as if finishing the game is the point of the game, which is not. The point of the game is to play the game. Finishing it is, you know, eventually when you feel like you've had enough fun, then you finish the game and it's done. But it's just this weird thing that we have nowadays where people just feel like they need to finish games faster because the next game is coming and you need to finish it faster and faster and faster. And it's at a certain point, it's like we should maybe slow down and enjoy the game rather than finish the game, right?
Yeah.
Because like the way that I'm playing Guild Wars 2, for instance, right? I'm going through and I'm doing the story in order. The game allows me to basically skip the order of the story. If I wanted to be the most efficient, I could just skip the story of the first campaign and the second. Actually, I don't know if you can skip the first one, but you can very easily skip to a campaign that's called Path of Fire, which is where the mounts are. And you can go get like the mounts that World of Warcraft stole Dragonflight from. You can just go get one of those mounts and then burn through the rest of the game super fast. But you basically skip a bunch of story to do that. So it's like, that's the most efficient way of doing it. That's the most efficient way of being done with it. Meanwhile, here I am just playing through the game normally. You know, I don't have the super speedy mounts. I did go to that expansion briefly on another character to just get one mount. I just wanted one mount, like a basic one, like a little raptor to go just a little bit faster. But I didn't go and get like the giga fast soaring zoom, the zoom through the whole friggin' game. You just take your time, enjoy the experience.
See, I think because a lot of people in chat are also saying your fun is not my fun. And to that, I would say, absolutely. But if you don't like the discovery part of Season of Discovery, then don't play Season of Discovery.
Exactly. It's like...
Right? Because it is a fundamental part of the fucking game, is discovering the runes. And if you're saying, like Xanarath, you said, maybe I like using the runes, but I don't like discovering them. If you're not discovering them, you can't use them, because that's how the developers intended the game to be played. So it would be like saying, "Oh, I love Modern Warfare. I just don't like shooting people." But then why the fuck are you playing an FPS? Like, what?
You usually
What are
get
you talking about?
people saying
Right?
that about football. I think football's an amazing game. If only it didn't have that stupid ball screwing up everything, right? Stupid ball
so
in the middle.
I would argue in this instance, right? If you are playing, right, a game, and there are elements of that game that you do not like, there is a good chance that you're the odd one out, right? And it's perfectly fine. Then go play something else. Or if enough people don't like it, it means the developers failed on how they developed it. But we won't know as long as there are guides and add-ons that allow you to basically circumvent the entire thing.
Yeah.
If we want things to be better, everyone needs to be able to go through the exact same thing and needs to be able to discover everything at the exact same pace. Because I'll explain to you why the use of guides and add-ons is so egregious. For everyone to be on equal footing, right, we all have to be able to reasonably go through the season of discovery at the same time, or at the same pace.
And you can tell that this is what they want, because the level cap is 25, which shouldn't take that long.
Yeah, so they want people to be able to go there and take their time because it isn't to level 60. But now's the problem. If you have a small subset of the community that is using add-ons, this now puts pressure on the rest of the community to start using the add-ons, otherwise they're going to fall behind. So now even the people that don't want to use the add-on has to use the add-on, because if they don't, they are now behind the rest of the people that did use the add-on and did just blast through the entire game, right? And especially, this is not true for single-player games, but it's 100% true in MMOs, where you have that competitive element where people want to raid and people want to do dungeons. Suddenly now everyone has to use the add-on. Okay, because my guild master decided to use add-ons. Now he's forcing everyone else to use add-ons. I don't want to lose my guild because all my friends are there. So now you've just destroyed, congratulations, the game for everyone. Whereas if Blizzard put a full-scale ban on any of that information and instead said, listen here, we are not going to allow any add-ons or written guides. If we find that you write a written guide within the first 2 weeks, we are going to blacklist you. Not ban you. I don't want Blizzard to start banning people's accounts and shit, but I mean blacklist. So in other words, if Wowhead comes out with their written guide on how to find every single one of the discoveries, Blizzard goes, right, you guys will not get another interview with us for the next 2 or 3 years. We'll not do any interviews with Wowhead because of this. It's a transgression. We didn't want the game to be solved. And we're not asking for guides to never exist. But at least give people 2 weeks.
Time. Yeah, let us actually try stuff out. Let us try to figure things out. Like, to give you an idea, there's a game that came out this year. I don't know if I've mentioned this game to you or not. Remnant 2. This is
you've spoken about Remnant 2, yeah.
Remnant 2 is a game that really takes a page out of old school. I think it's incredibly underrated this year. But basically what they do is they have these old school puzzles that you really have to think about the solution to this puzzle. And on top of it, usually puzzles might even have more than one solution from something that you find later in a game at a different level at a different time. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, you're not, if you're just playing the game organically, there's very little chance, unless your IQ's like, I don't know, friggin' 200, there's very little chance that you're going to figure out every single puzzle in the game by yourself. Yeah. It's just probably not going to happen. But the thing is, the few puzzles that you do figure out for yourself as you are playing the game feel exceptionally good. Because you're just like, holy shit, I figured this thing out. That was awesome. And usually they reward you Like they'll give you a weapon or they'll give you a ring or an amulet for figuring out the puzzle. So not only you get a high of, you figured out this puzzle, but you also get a reward. And Season of Discovery is primed for shit like this. Like, for instance, when you're playing World of Warcraft, right? And this is something that is so... I cannot emphasize how important this is to me. But back in the day when I was playing World of Warcraft, a lot of the times you would see a mountain in the distance. And there was no quest trackers. There was no bullshit. You would just see a mountain in the distance. And you would be like, you know what? I want to go there. And a lot of times there might not be anything there. There might not be nothing there. It's whatever. You go in there, it's whatever. There's nothing. But the few times that you would go to that mountain and you would find like maybe a special mob, like maybe a rare mob behind a waterfall. You'd find like a hidden chest, or even for the people that were able to like glitch, not glitch as in they glitch through a wall or something, but they were able to do, I don't know if you remember the strafe jumping stuff that people would do to go up mountains.
Yeah.
Which Blizzard removed.
The horse stuff as well.
Which Blizzard removed because they didn't want us to have too much fun. But basically, there was a mountain that you could actually climb. And the developers even had like a message there, like you weren't supposed to be there, but they would have like a little Easter egg and shit. Like, that was awesome. And nowadays, World of Warcraft doesn't really have that. Almost every point of interest, there's like an arrow or a quest that takes you there, which takes away all of the mystique that place has. And Season of Discovery is primed for hundreds of moments like that, where maybe I'll see something off in this and I'm like, oh, what's that? And maybe I'll even be the first one to see it. Maybe I won't be, but whatever, right? And you go there and you find something organically and you're like, holy shit, this is actually a rune. I now have the Devastate rune for my warrior. Holy fuck. Like, that was awesome. And people trade that away for a fucking arrow, and they can just go like be like this in their chair, like lean back, watching fucking Netflix, firing down. It's like, oh, the Devastate rune, cool. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's like, it's so hard to explain because people don't understand this anymore. They're just like, I don't have time. It's wasting my time. I don't want to waste my time. Yeah, you wouldn't want to play video games then. You clearly have too much of a busy social life. You don't have time to waste. Stop playing video games, man.
So I'll give you a great example of what discovering stuff feels like. So I recently started playing Diablo 4 again. And I have to admit, it's actually super fun. Like, I hate to admit it, actually, but it is actually super fun. The new season does make things quite interesting. So I play Diablo 4. I finish the full story. I do the final dungeon thing that you have to do in order to get to tier 3. And now I'm in tier 3, right? And I realize very quickly I am getting my shit kicked in tier 3. I tried to do a couple of dungeons and I was like, dude, I am getting fucking wrecked here. Like, everything kills all of my minions and they slaughter me. I'm not doing any damage. Nothing's dying. I'm like, what the fuck, man? How am I supposed to do this? And so I end up just running around the open world, just doing like the easiest stuff I can find. Like, I had to give up a couple of things, like doing those world events. I had to give up a couple of them because they would kill me. So I'm just so weak. And I keep thinking, I must be missing something. There must be something that I'm not doing right. Because it can't be this fucking difficult to go from tier 2, where I was absolutely sloshing and smashing everything, to tier 3, where I'm just getting my shit kicked in. And I thought to myself, okay, wait. And what ended up happening was a chest piece drops. A legendary chest piece. And the legendary chest piece
makes your build go online.
Not my build, but I read what the legendary does. And it makes my, it increases my minions' damage by a shit ton. And I get a couple of other legendary pieces that I already had, but I never checked them. In tier 2, I just had the same build the whole time. I don't really give a fuck about what Lego bonuses I have. But I have these legendaries that my build doesn't use any of the things from these legendaries. And so I'm like, wait, let me go in again and I refund all of my build points. And I go, right, instead of doing, I was doing decompose.
How much did that cost, by the way?
What, to refund all of my points?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can know. Like,
I bet it was a hefty sum.
Maybe. I don't even check. I have over 1 million gold, so I'm rich, bitch. You know, I'm living the high life. But yeah, I refund all my points and I start from scratch. And I end up with this really cool build. Just based on what my legendaries do, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the legendaries basically informed what I want my build to do, which is it turns my Bone Storm into a shadow ability that does insane fucking damage, dude. Like, Bone Storm already does a lot of damage.
I know what that is. I use that. You're playing Necro?
Yeah.
That's what I played.
But, dude, it fucking blows up.
Yeah, I know.
As soon as I see this Lego, I'm like, oh, I need to build a shadow build here.
Yeah.
I have to go shadow. So I start like a bunch of different builds, and I'm just sort of like eyeballing it, right? I'm just going, right, I can do Blight, because that's damage over time, but that's also shadow. That looks like a good one. I'm gonna go Blight, and I'm gonna go Corpse Tendrils and Corpse Explosion, but I'm gonna go for the shadow version of Corpse Explosion. And as I'm playing and I'm going through this, I go, I don't like the Tendrils one. The cooldown is too long on this, and I'm still not doing enough damage. And then I think I went Decrepify, but I could have gone the other one. I'm not entirely sure. I'll need to check. But I went one of those two, because there's this one talent that gives you 9% increased damage if you have curses on the target. And I was like, dude, that's it. This is my fucking build. I'm going to go with this one for now. And I went the build, and now I'm trying a dungeon again. The last time I tried a dungeon, I got fucking whacked on the first elite monster. I go into the dungeon, and I smash, bro. The final boss of the dungeon, I deleted that thing in like 2 seconds. Because it just melts. At that point, it's like the game became 1,000,000 times more fun. I had spent about 6 hours trying to figure out what the fuck is wrong. Why can't I play on tier 3? And when I finally figured it out, it's like the game is now just a new thing for me.
Yeah, but it feels good to figure it out. Like, if you had watched the video about it, would it be as meaningful?
Yeah, of course. Now, I did. After this, I thought, okay, wait. If this build is so strong, let's go see if there is maybe a better summoner build out there that I'm not seeing. Like, maybe I can make this build even better. And it turns out I'm using a variation of some kind of fucking Necro build. But that Necro build doesn't have the Bone Storm, so I'm assuming they don't have the Lego for it, or they don't include the Lego for it. But I like my build because the Bone Storm makes it do big damage.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't mind checking guides. I do it myself. But I usually only do it after
you've attempted something, at least.
Yeah, like after I've struggled a lot, right? And I've sort of figured it out, then I'll go, right, what does the guide say? Am I just being bonkers here? Was this a one-off? Is there something I can do? So I like guides in terms of fine-tuning. I think guides are really good for fine-tuning, because in order to fine-tune, you have to physically theory craft a lot of things. So I think in that regard, guides are fine. The problem with guides is, for most players, a guide becomes the immediate thing, right? Like, it doesn't even, oh shit, I'm dying, guide. Oh shit, there's a guide, right? I immediately go to the guide. And then my question becomes, what are you playing? Because it's not a game. You're not really playing the game. You're watching other people tell you how to play the game.
Yeah. See, that's the fun thing. That's the thing about Mythic Plus, right? Because people, they will look at like a route or something that they've seen online, and they don't even know why that route is considered the best route. Because maybe when they were planning that route, they figured out, oh, we're gonna make this route, and I'm playing a warrior right now, so pulling these packs makes more sense. And somebody else might be going in there with the monk, But everybody expects them to take the other route. And they're like, maybe this player even knows what they're doing. And they just go like, no, actually, it makes more sense to pull this way because this pack is easier for monks to handle than warriors. But people in the groups, they will not accept it because like, no, this website says this is the right way to play. This is the way that we play the video game. And this is what you got to do. And that's a problem.
Yeah, it is. But I will say also Xanarath, because Xanarath says, I don't enjoy not having the things. The first thing I did in Dragonflight when new zones came out was to look up where all the glyphs were so that I could use my dragon properly. It gives me nothing to fly around for hours to look for them.
See, I did none of that. I found everything organically.
But here's the thing.
It wasn't hard, and it didn't take that long either.
If you stopped looking for guides, it's actually super easy.
Yeah, it is.
You just go to the achievement, right? Because the achievement tells you how many you need to collect. And you look at the names of the runes. It tells you in which area the runes are. As soon as you fly close to the rune, it tells you, because there's a sound that goes off that says, hey, there may be a rune here. So then you just look for it.
I didn't even do that. I would just fly around the map, find a couple of them, and then based on the ones that I found, I would, you'd see, okay, so there's one over here, another one over here. This part of the map is looking kind of empty. Let's fly around there. And usually I would find the other rune in the empty zones. There's some exceptions here and there, but usually as you're looking, you would find those as well. So it was absolutely easy to find organically.
The thing is, it makes it more fun if you're finding it organically.
Oh yeah, it was definitely way more fun.
Xanarath, you can't say, sure, but it's more work than necessary, because it's not. You are literally cheating. You're refusing to play the game because you want to get to the end result. It's like playing Sims and then fucking typing in a code to give you unlimited money. Like, what are you talking about? Yes, now you have a mansion, but you didn't earn that mansion. You just typed in a code, and now you're cheating. And now you have all the money.
That was usually the way that I would stop playing video games. Because I remember when I was a kid, I would always be doing the cheating stuff. So I'd be like, go into a game, cheat the fuck out of it. And then like not even 5 minutes after getting everything I wanted from the cheat, I was like, oh, I don't think I care about this game anymore. And I would stop playing.
Berries, how you doing, by the way? You see, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. You see, because if people play like Xanarath does, for example, the question or the problem then becomes that you consistently need the developers to add more and more things to the game, right? And we need more raids, more dungeons, more this, more this, more this, more this.
Yep.
Because you are unwilling to play the game the way that it is intended to play. And so you're going through the game playing only really half of what the game has to offer, which in my opinion, I genuinely think it creates a weird incentive structure that ultimately I think counts against the game. It counts against the developers, and it also feels like it disincentivizes the developers to create cool things when they know that the player base is simply going to skip the cool things in order to just get to the end result. Which I genuinely think is just bad for gaming in general. I do. If you don't like a certain thing, then don't do it. Don't do it. If you don't want to go and look for all of the different glyphs, then fly with the 3 that you have.
Yeah.
Because you decided you don't want to look for those glyphs, then just fly with the 3 that you have and be done with it, right? And maybe by accident you discover them as you play through the game. Which, by the way, I think was the point. Yeah. I think in Blizzard's mind, when they were designing this system, if you ask them what is the perfect way that you want players to play this, they probably would have said, we wouldn't mind if it took players months to get all 6 of the of the glyphs, right? Or all 6 unlocked, we wouldn't mind. Because we want players to explore, we want players to be out in the world, and we want players to discover these things organically as they're playing. Which, to my mind, what ends up happening now is Blizzard is continuously, and we already see it. Look at Dragonflight. People love to claim that Dragonflight is the expansion with the most content ever made in a single expansion, which is absolute bullshit. It isn't the biggest expansion ever made with the most content ever made, because 85% of all the content
might have the biggest zones, though. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of zones, it's absolutely huge.
Yeah.
But my point is, in terms of content, 85% of the content is literally just rehashed content. It's just reskinned from other types of content that we've already had in the past. Why is that constantly going to happen? And why is it going to happen more? Because players are skipping the way the game is meant to be played.
Yep.
So the developers have to consistently design faster, because the player base is so fucking addicted that they go, oh, I have to collect glyphs? Google, where are all my glyphs? Okay, Google tells me exactly where the glyphs are. Is there an add-on for this? Because I'm too fucking lazy to even look at my second monitor.
And
I want an add-on that tells me exactly where these glyphs are. And then I'm just going to go fly through them.
Here's the thing. I don't even think that people looking things up is a massive problem. Okay? Hear me out. I don't even think that's a massive problem. I think the massive problem is that looking things up is their first approach. Like, people don't even try to find things. They won't even try for 30 seconds. Like, they might be next to a thing and they won't even try for 30 seconds to try to figure out where it is. There's like, I looked around, I can't see it. Wowhead will know. You know, and it's like, at least try. At least try for a little bit. Like, for instance, with the glyphs thing, at least, try while you're leveling up. And then, you get to max level and you're missing like 3 glyphs and you didn't find them. Okay, sure. Look that up. I don't think that's a huge problem. The problem is when you get to a zone, there's like, nope, need to do it right now, instantly, need to know where everything is instantly. And it's just frustrating to see. Because then what ends up happening is, like you said, we get worst content. Because, like, why would Blizzard bother to do good content if people are not going to engage with it?
You see, for me, and I should make this clear, I want everyone to be able to play the game the way that they want to play it, right? Yeah. I don't ever want to be the guy that tells other people how they're allowed to play and that they can't play their way. But the problem, it becomes really pronounced when the way you want to play will suddenly impact millions of people.
Not just that, but it's like, let's not even go to millions of people. The problem becomes the way that you want to play and the way that you engage with the game now affects the way that I play the game.
Well, yeah, but
which is what happens.
You see, but that is exactly the point, right? It'll affect everyone else. So because you are going to use guides and add-ons in Season of Discovery, suddenly everyone will have to use guides and add-ons in Season of Discovery, because if they don't, they're going to be behind the people that use add-ons and guides. And if they're behind, they're not going to get into raids, because all raids are going to want everyone to have all of the glyphs unlocked.
Because that's the thing. It's not even about you being behind in terms of progression from another player. It's just about the fact that, like, that becomes the de facto standard. Because moment that somebody finds, for instance, right? I think that warriors are going to have a devastate rune. And warriors are still probably going to be used a lot as tanks, I would imagine, despite the fact that now warlocks can tank and all of this stuff. Who knows how that's going to pan out, which is one of the reasons why it's exciting. We don't know how it's going to pan out. But, you know, let's just say, okay, so warriors are still going to be tanking. The moment somebody discovers the devastate rune, you go into a group and it's like, okay, hey, wait, dude, I just inspected you. Why don't you have this devastate rune equipped? It's like, oh, I didn't find it. Oh, it's right here. Go get it right now.
Yeah, true. I mean,
that becomes the de facto expectation.
Yeah, or it's the same with add-ons. If you try to, so I tried to do this, FYI, back when I came back to WoW in the Warlords of Draenor era. I set up a guild, and one of the things that we absolutely demanded in this guild is that no one watches guides at all. We go into the fights and we learn the fights off by heart. Very quickly, we started to learn and realize that a lot of people were cheating this. They were claiming to not know, but they would constantly come up with strategies that after we kill the boss, I would go look at guides and I would realize, wait, this is the exact same strategy explained in exactly the same way as these guides. So it became very clear that, and after a few fights, you go, wait, but this guy is consistently coming up with Icy Veins guide, or with this guide, or with that guide. So what ends up happening is suddenly everyone starts watching the guides, and now I'm forced to watch the guides as well because everyone's watching the guides. And the problem, this is the thing. When you're playing a game that is competitive and everyone's going to be playing together, the second one person takes a shortcut, everyone is now expected to also take the shortcut. Because we're competing. There is always going to be that element of competition. Now, there is obviously a subset of the player base that play incredibly casually, and so no matter what you do, they're going to do their own thing. But anyone that wants to raid, anyone that wants to do dungeons, they're going to be forced to go look at the guides, go look at the add-ons, because everyone has to be on the same spot, and if you're taking a shortcut, I need to take a shortcut.
And see, Gnarl Lady was saying in my chat, what the hell is wrong with being behind? Most of these losers are never good anyways. The problem is exactly what Accolonn just said. The problem with being behind is that you're not going to be able to get into groups, because it's the de facto expectation that you have everything that is the best for your class, because it is already known what is the best for your class, so you need to get what's best for your class. There's no, effectively removing the discovery elements of it. Whether or not you need it, by the way, because Classic is infinitely easier than, it's not even that challenging to begin with.
True. Psychotic Jake, I don't think it's that WoW became competitive. I think it's always been competitive.
Oh, yeah.
People like competing. It doesn't matter how you want to, set it up. People are always going to compete with each other, no matter what you give them, right? You could give them a bunch of sticks, and they'll figure out how to beat the fuck out of each other until it's last man standing, right?
Real life battle royale with sticks.
Yeah, that's just human beings. We love competing and we love measuring ourselves to other people. And this is why I think for the developers, what's super important is to guard the players against the demons of our nature. Right? This is a developer's main job, is to ensure that the player base does not optimize the fun out of the game for themselves. And I would argue in WoW's case, the developers have failed completely.
Multiple times.
Because many players have optimized the living fuck out of their game. I need to go pee quickly, but many players have optimized them, all of the fun out of their game. I'll be right back, Rurikhan.
Okay.
Need to pee quick.
Go ahead. Yeah, team. It is what it is. Okay, everybody in Acco's chat, be sure to riot now. Acco's not here. You guys have free reign. There's nothing he can do to stop you. Get him. Get him, team. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to be bailing out soon. I need to go home. Which kind of sucks. Conversation's really good. Need to harass Accolonn more often. Then they tried to expand onto Shadowlands that they actually have left to dry slowly while new expansion was being in the works. They've done that more than the Shadowlands. I think they did part of that during the during BFA as well. Didn't they cut part of BFA to be able to make Shadowlands better, and they cut part of Shadowlands in order to make Dragonflight better? So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work out. Like I said, I'm interested in War Within because dwarves, delves, and Brand Bronzebeard. Dwarves, delves, and Brand Bronzebeard. That's what it's all about. That's the way to get it done. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Dwarves? Yes! Dwarves. Alpacalypse. Deal with it, bro. Bronzebeard's just for first season. That's fine, I'll just play first season. If they make me follow some Horde character in second season, oof. I don't know how we're gonna do that. I don't know how that's gonna work out.
Sorry, I'm back. I'm back.
You're good.
All right.
I was telling people that War Within is all about dwarves, delves, and Brand Bronzebeard, bro.
Yeah, that's true. Like you must be in your fucking element with dwarves being a thing.
That's the only reason I'm giving the game another shot. Like, because if Chris Metzen came back and the first expansion was Midnight, which I'm assuming is going to be all about fucking elves, I'd be like, all right, have fun, bye, don't care.
Then unless you enjoy War Within, right?
Yeah. War Within needs to really hook me to get in on that. But yeah.
What do you think the chances are of War Within actually hooking you, though?
Very small. Because, like I said, last time that I stopped playing the game, it was no longer because the game wasn't good. Like the last couple of expansions that I quit before Dragonflight, I quit because I didn't think the game was good. Dragonflight, I thought the game was great. I was playing with people that I know.
Yeah.
And I was not having fun because they were being too sweaty for even their own skill level. And it was just like, bro, like I'm coming home at night after I spent like all day either streaming or recording or whatever. And I just want to chill and do some dungeons. And for some reason they just, no, we got to do plus 17s. But actually, I don't even know what the level was when I was done. It's like, no, we got to do this. And I was like, okay. I mean, we're probably going to wipe a couple of times, but that's fine. I don't mind wiping. But then they would rage the fuck out when we would wipe. And it's like, bro, you don't have gear. Like, what the fuck do you want? I don't have gear. Like, what do you want? It's like...
Yeah, I mean...
So it's like, I think
I'll
the
answer your
problem...
question in a second, just FYI.
Yeah, I think the problem is that I will play the solo content because I think I'll have fun with that, particularly because of the dwarven themes. But like, without Mythic Plus to keeping me there in the long term, I don't know. I don't know if I can get hooked into the game like I used to. Because I'm not jumping into random groups to have to deal with that bullshit again. Maybe I'll play DPS because that way at least I don't have to fucking memorize routes and somebody else can take the abuse whenever they pull an extra mob.
I can see that. I think Bubble Boat, by the way, thank you so much for the 22. Really appreciate you, fam. Thank you. I can see that. For me, it's the lore, right? If the story is good, I'll keep playing.
How the fuck did you play through Shadowlands then, bro? How the fuck did you do that? Oh, okay. There you go.
I didn't. Bro, I quit Shadowlands shortly after, I think 3 months into the expansion, I quit. And I didn't come back right up until the end, is when I finally came back to the game. Like, fuck that. I couldn't sit through that expansion. Like, I was just like, nope, fuck this game.
The actual raid was pretty fun, though.
Which one?
Nathria. I did Nathria. Nathria normal, mind you, and a little bit of heroic, but Nathria was fun.
Yeah, I don't raid at all. I just fuck around in the open world. I enjoy the casual stuff. I enjoy looking for story, basically. That's what I do.
It's a damn shame you play Horde, though, dude. You should just play Alliance. That's what you do.
Yeah, there is an absolute zero chance that I would ever play filthy fucking Alliance. Like, why would I do that? Like, there's no orcs on the Alliance side.
At least we weren't the ones who bitched out in the Legion mission.
You know? Bitched out?
Yeah,
like,
you remember how the leader of the Horde, like, oh, something grazed me. Oh no. It's like, oh, and then
something grazed you, bro.
And then Sylvanas goes like, well, we better leave. And then Varian's like, wait, what? What are you guys doing? Why are they leaving?
Dude,
bunch of fucking pussies.
Like, holy shit. The Alliance, like, fake news, bro. Like, the propaganda that these Alliance players have been fed. Like, it's not. Like, bro, we holy shit. Like, wow.
The funny part is me saying something grazed him as I remember the cinematic of Zul'jin getting literally fucking impaled. It's like, yeah, somebody grazed him with a spear or something. I don't know, dude. It was like a minor flesh wound. Nah, but Sylvanas was a bitch. I mean, come on, you gotta agree with that. She was like, well, gotta leave, boys. We gotta go. Come on.
Dude, okay, if Sylvanas didn't leave, the Horde would have lost all of their leaders. Like, we had Vol'jin down for the fucking count. We had Thrall fucked. We had Bane fucked.
You know what they say to Dark Souls players when they die?
Yeah.
Get good. Zul'jin needed a little bit of that.
Dude, Vol'jin was dying because he was betrayed.
No, he was stabbed by a rando fucking...
If you read the books, he was actually betrayed. Well, he wasn't so much betrayed as once somebody was blocked from him for some reason. Like, I'm not entirely sure how that lore operates, but remember, his lower is Bonsumdi, and Bonsumdi was helping him on the battlefield. Like, that's why Vol'jin was always such an accomplished fighter. And Muazala somehow blocked Bonsumdi from not being able to communicate or warn Vol'jin of what was going on. Fuck that story, because it wasn't ever really well explored within the game, but doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Muazala blocks shit, and then Vol'jin dies because no one warns him of what's going on behind him. So it's kind of a betrayal, but also not really a betrayal.
See,
whatever the fuck.
That to me is, again, another term that people use in Souls games. That's a skill issue right there, bro. Your guy didn't know how to fight without his puny little god helping him. That's a skill issue right there.
Yeah, and your guy got fucking disintegrated.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to say?
To save his people. He died to save his people, which is
like
more than any of you did.
Like a little bitch. He gets disintegrated, turned into fucking smoke.
Not even you can say that with a straight face. Not even you can say that Varian did that like a bitch.
Well,
Varian went out like an absolute giga chad, bro.
No, that is true. Varian was absolute giga chad. But you know what else is really giga chad?
What?
You guys used to have a chair in a tree in Kalimdor.
Yeah.
Used to.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got rid of that little bitch quick.
See, you're preaching to the wrong person, bro. I've always said those fucking elves can get themselves another tree, and it seems that I was proven right. Listen, I said since the start, I said, look, those they can find another tree, all right? They're gonna be fine. They can just get another one. Look, I mean, come on. There's so many trees in Ashenvale. You're gonna tell me, no, we needed the big one. Come on now. Just there are plenty of trees in World of Warcraft. Just get another one. And they did, according to the last piece of story that I heard about. So
yeah. There's a new tree. I mean,
fucking uppity elves. What have they done for the dwarves, huh? Nothing. Yeah, that's what I thought. Fuck them.
No one likes the new tree. Dude, this entire, like, Dragonflight is, once again, a great example of a great story told so fucking poorly.
Listen, Shadowmancers has the perfect rebuttal to what you just said. You build your whole civilization on a tree, and then you rage when it catches fire.
True.
Listen,
That is actually true.
Unfortunately, I gotta go because I gotta go
No
see
worries,
my
bro.
kids. It was really good chatting. It's like, look,
Yeah.
multiple times I check Discord to see if you're live, and then I'll hop in if you're live. And if you're not doing a react, I usually go like, hey, let me bother him, see if we can do a chat.
You're always welcome, bro. You know that.
It's good shit.
You're always
dude.
fucking welcome, man.
Yep. Well,
All right.
there's still plenty of more to talk about. So if I see you around this week again at a time that I'm around, I'll poke you again and we can chat some more.
Well,
anyway,
I'll be around.
Anyway,
Peace
you
out,
have
bro.
fun. You have fun with the rest of your stream. Actually, I'm gonna raid you. Aha! Send all the Iron Breakers over. Get their your ass. Keep you in check.
Let's get the people in here. No, man, I really appreciate it. I had fun as always. I saw chat as well. We're really enjoying the conversation. I get asked literally like fucking, oh my god, weekly.
Yeah,
I get asked about our podcast.
It's like the problem with the podcast. It's a pain in the ass to do the fucking the chapters thing that I do for all podcasts and uploading it to all the platforms. So it just became because I'm already doing that for 2 other podcasts, and it's like, bro. And on top of it, I wasn't even playing World of Warcraft anymore. I was like, fuck this game. I hate it. I hate it forever. And now I'm here, like, getting ready to play Season of Discovery. You need to play Alliance so we could play Season of Discovery together.
Bro, I would rather get finger fucked by a cow than play Alliance.
That sounds painful. And with that graphic image, I will leave. See y'all later. You guys have a good one.
Peace out, bro.
Peace out, team.
Take care of yourself, man.
Bye.
Chat, say goodbye to Rurikhan.